Hey,
chapter. So
Steve
picking a
Snob
good
King.
drop spot and having a solid
Hey,
off-form plan will be
hey,
more important than
as you
ever
see
this
right
season.
here, we got FNCS
One of the power
coming, baby,
POIs in the map
baby,
will be
baby, baby,
Slappy
baby.
Shores,
Oh yeah,
boasting the
yeah,
highest number of
yeah,
chests of
yeah.
any POI, plenty
You
of
know
metal,
it.
and an abundance of natural shield
And
from
we're
the slurp
streaming,
truck
baby.
and slap barrels. Expect this location to be
Check it out.
highly contested
Fortnite.
this season as teams try to secure the shores.
I'll
Another
turn the
go-to
volume
drop
up.
spot is definitely going to be Anvil Square. With its central location on the map for easy surge, a good amount of loot, and 2 of the new Oathbound chests in the area, there'll definitely be a lot of teams that want to dominate this location. In the snowy northern side of the map lies Brutal Bastion. Although this area is amongst some ice-cold snow, there's no doubt it'll be a hot pick for many teams this season. Cool off from the hot drop with a huge 11 coolers in the area, and players can speed up their loot path with ziplines around the perimeter of the POI. A major benefit of this location is how close it is to survival, a split drop could be a better option. Another feature of the new Chapter 4 map is the natural mobility that comes with it. Use ice to quickly skid across the snowy areas of the map for quick rotation. In the same area, use the one-way slipstreams to fly through the sky, and even hop inside of a snowball to let gravity do the work for you. Despite there being plenty of map mobility options, there are of course mobility items that can help you traverse the island. The main one we'll see will be the Shockwave Hammer. While it can be used to destroy builds and damage players directly with the slam feature, most competitive players will be picking up this item for the bounce aspect of it. This powerful mobility method allows you to propel yourself forward, breaking immediate builds around you, and with the 3 charges, you wisely. For teams that don't get a Shockwave Hammer at their drop spot, guaranteeing a launch pad from a supply drop could be the answer to their mobility problems. A potentially underrated mobility item this season is Impulse Grenades. On their own, they can offer some simple rotation for players wanting to travel short distances. However, where this item really shines is when combined with a reality augment, such as Party Time or Soaring Sprints. These augments transform the impulse grenades from something fairly useful to a viable option for rotation at any point in the game. The Falcon Scout brings a new way to scout in Fortnite. You can deploy and control this airborne drone to not only mark enemies for your team, but precious loot as well. This handy little bird also has the ability to bring a downed teammate to safety or even carry some loot from one point to another. Think of it like your own airborne assistant. This will be useful for competitive players to locate enemies at their drop spot, to pick up reboot cards safely, or to scout out a rotation in the later stages of the game. This will be a hugely beneficial item to competitive players, and those that make the most of its powers will be soaring to success. There's plenty to get excited about when it comes to competitive gameplay in Chapter 4 Season 1. Don't forget to watch the upcoming FNCS to watch all of this season's competitive action unfold. We'll see you on the Battle Bus. Beep beep.
3, 2, 1, 0!
I'm so excited to be taking part of the first major in 2023.
This is about to be the greatest season I've ever had.
I could not be more hyped.
The top teams need to be worried as we've been working hard.
I think really fast compared to other people.
If you try to contest me, it's gonna go bad for you.
Y'all better stay off of low ground because that is mine.
Gonna dominate this year.
We just outsmart everyone.
I'm a veteran player. I've been around for the last 5 years competing at the highest level.
I'm going to win by a mile, and then next thing you know, Big Clicks just won the first FNCS.
You will see me in that grands, no questions asked.
Good luck, because it's not easy to beat me.
I'm coming for this FNCS.
Let's go.
Let's go, FNCS.
Let's go.
Let's do this. I'm taking that crown.
Oh boy. Well, Fortnite fam. Welcome back to the FNCS. 2023, it's gonna look maybe a little bit familiar, but there's a few key changes along the way. Those FNCSs you're used to seeing, well, guess what? Now they culminate into a single FNCS Global Championship that's happening later on this year. That's right. So no more of this self-contained, they're just a winner. No. Now when they win, they're looking to secure that spot in the Global Championship. I'm excited, and I hope you guys all are as well. Now, I know what you're thinking, Zeke. I want to talk duos. I want to talk competitive. I want to talk meta. I want to talk all... We'll get there. Just hang on for 1 second. Why don't I just get you up to speed with the broadcast schedule? So, if you're liking what you're seeing, you want to watch more Fortnite action, come back. We'll be here every single weekend. Now, the thing to note here is actually grand finals. Those are going on March 4th and 5th, so make sure you guys mark your calendars. You don't want to miss the conclusion of Major number 1. It is going to be absolutely insane. Now, the next question you probably have is, okay, well, if there's like a global championship later on, do people still get active champions, like some prize money? Of course, that's all still the same. And here's a look at the prize breakdown. Still an amazing amount of money for that duo that can come in first place. But if they can come in first place, they're going to secure themselves a spot in that global championship. So make sure you guys are rooting for that number 1 duo. Now, let's be honest, I can't do this by myself. I need some help from my friends. I got none other than Vivid and the Best Taco.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait, what are you cooking there?
Oh, Zeke, what we are cooking here is some great competition. We're here. It feels so good to be back. FNCS, back on the stage with, of course, my best friends.
It's about dang time, Zeke. I think we have all been waiting for this moment. Major number 1, NA East Region. There's a lot of chefs in the kitchen, but I want to see who the executive is.
It is me. That's the surprise. I am executive chef. You can call me chef. Guys, expectations coming into 2023, global championship later on. That's got to be insane, right?
I expect the competition to be the highest it's ever been. The roadmap has been laid out. They know what they are fighting for at every single major, so I want them to just increase how much they want at every single major.
Couldn't feel the same way. I mean, it is the same way. It's just going to be incredible, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't we head up here? Let's talk about some duos. So, listen, longtime fans here of NA East, you guys are probably thinking to yourselves, I can't wait to see all these duos and things that familiar used to seeing. Guess what? NAE said, nah, we're just going to go absolutely crazy, form incredibly new sets of duos. What's the first one?
Well, listen, somebody took a hat, put all the names in, just kind of picked out some random names. And, the first two that came out, Miro and Edgy. I'm so excited to watch this duo in an FNCS format because Miro himself, there's been 3 times in FNCS finals where he has been the leader in eliminations as an individual. And then pairing up with Edgy, this is got to be a powerhouse duo.
It's definitely a duo that demands the spotlight. And a lot of those eliminations, when it comes to Miro specifically, you have to remember, this guy has a 73% win rate when fighting inside of these first 3 zones. So you take a player as consistent as Edgy, you pair him with Miro, I mean, it's bound to be a deadly duo to compete with.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Edgy, he's looking for that FNCS win on the NA East region while his duo Miro is looking for those refreshes, all those eliminations. Can't wait to see how they do.
That's right. So we have Miro, and you're probably thinking, okay, he's been paired up with Booga, right? Well, now they split. Bugha's like, okay, I want to pair up with someone. Why not just another champion? Peterbot.
Oh my gosh. Well, Bugha just from champion to champion, man. Peterbot is now the duo, and I love the way that they are looking on an individual level. I've never seen a duo like just feel so comfortable being alone. They just often like run off and away from one another, but it just works so well. And you can even see it right here in the highlight. He's just going off to a sidewall, and he's just completely confident in the ability that his duo has. And then, you know, of course, we could talk about Bugha's accolades for like an hour.
Exactly. These two are just so strong individually with their mechanics. I think Peterbot oftentimes regarded as a very top-end fighter in the NA region, but knowing that they're going to be uncontested on the north side of Slappy Shores, that is bound to be a huge swing for them. So I really want to see what they do with it.
That's right. Let's keep talking about these duos that have now formed new pairings. It's Acorn. It's cold. I mean, I'm excited about this one, I gotta say.
Listen, I really feel like Cold right now is on the rise to being the best individual player on the NA East region. He is just performing at such a level right now that it's just a wonder to watch. And, you know, I feel like he took a lot of the things that he learned from Sentin, which was his old duo in Sentin, and he just transferred them right over very well with the new duo in Acorn.
Have to remember, in week 4 of Elite Cup Finals as well, this duo was able to secure first place. And even coming into this first week, I know it's Major 1, I know it's week 1, but the fact that they were the first duo to break that 1,000 points threshold is definitely a pretty incredible feat to accomplish. And I think Cold specifically, Vivid, you're talking about him so often, and it's hard not to remember that 2v1 or the 1v2 clutch that he had at the Invitational.
That's right. Amazing. Just duos here competing. Now, I want to just feel a little sense of familiarity, okay? There's a lot of new duos. Why don't we just kind of see a duo we're used to seeing, right? Adris Kanata. Okay, thank you. I'm just used to seeing that. I want to see more.
Yeah, thank goodness this duo actually stuck together, because I really feel like they were on a rise all throughout Chapter 3. I think that on the NA East region, this was one of the teams that I looked at that was one of the best at getting Storm Surge. They had such a strong strategy throughout the entire chapter that I am really, really excited to see them sticking together. But one thing throughout that chapter that I felt like they needed more was eliminations. And I feel like already this chapter, in the first Elite Cup of the season, they actually had the most eliminations as a duo, so hopefully that can transfer that here into Major number 1.
Well, if we want to see them build some momentum, have to keep in mind, even for the week 4 of the Elite Cup Finals, they had a second place finish, so we know that this is a team with a lot of storied history behind it. They have so much potential. I just want to see them consistently placed on that top end.
Yeah, for sure. So this is now the duos we talked about. Let's head this way. So we got to look at the duos. Now, let's kind of turn attention to Chapter 4, right? Brand new meta, new weapons, new items. And we're going to talk about an item that is going to make shockwaves in the competition, the Shockwave Hammer.
Listen, love it or hate it, this Shockwave Hammer is a must-have for any duo. If you're able to find one, whether it's the Oathbound chest or on your given POI, it is very rare, I think, to see duos not try to prioritize it, just because of the fact that it makes all rotations and even get out of jail free cards so much easier, because you just have that capability to immediately catapult yourself to the front side of a zone. And in moving zones specifically, when it gets so chaotic with breaking builds, you can force teams to expend a lot of resources.
Yeah, 100%. The scenarios that you can actually use this hammer in, the list just goes on and on and on. Solo clutches, holding higher ground, going up for higher ground, everything.
That means low ground might actually win a tournament, right? Because now high ground's not safe. Hey, you're either coming down to me or I'm going up to you.
Hey, we're talking about low ground winning some games, and I think a duo that knows that better than anyone right now is going to be Iamzo and Rise. They have really been doing a fantastic job at not just utilizing the Shockwave Hammer to kind of isolate duos for those 1v2 scenarios, but I think specifically because of how much chaos is being accomplished with the Shockwave Hammer, they're able to just fully take over that low ground feature. And again, low ground has really made it so much easier to kind of rack up those elims too.
Yeah, 100%. I love the low ground playstyle myself. And of course, when you do use that Shockwave Hammer for rotations, you do go upwards, right? So if you're on that low ground, you're not necessarily dealing with as much destruction as that hammer can cause. So definitely a good position to play right now.
All right, so we talked about the destruction aspect. I think we need to focus in on the precision, right? The Red Eye Assault Rifle, I mean, it kind of takes me back to the days of the Scope DR, right? Release Scope DR, people are like, okay, is that good? Oh, I can just click your head and then I just get a bunch of damage on. Sweet.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Red Eye has become a pivotal part of pretty much every single duo strategy surrounding Storm Surge. It's just such a good weapon to utilize at a long range, and that is because that you have that scope on it. I feel like any single time a scope has been added to a weapon in Fortnite, the professional players, they're on point with it.
And we talk about how chaotic those late game scenarios can be, especially when you get into the moving zones because of the destruction of builds. But when it comes to that red eye, having that mid-game promise of being able to play the high ground, being able to secure that surge management throughout the mid-game so you can just prioritize your positional aspects later on is always a fantastic thing.
So good. Last thing we have to touch on are augments, brand new to Chapter 4. They basically allow players to kind of like augment the way they play the game, right? Really allows them to kind of express the way they want to play in Fortnite. The first we got to talk about here is Forecast. I mean, this one's pretty good.
Your in-game cheat.
Yeah, it's a little cheat code, right? Definitely the best competitive augment that you can use. And basically what it does is it reveals the next 3 zones for you. So take right here, this example, we can see that the first zone is right here on the left side of the map. Now, all the other players, the second zone has not been revealed. But if you go ahead and activate this augment Forecast, you will actually be able to see this second zone. And if you activate it during that first zone, it may not be the best choice to make, but we'll talk about that in a second. You can also still see that second, that third, and that fourth zone because it does show you the next 3.
Yeah, I think at a competitive level, a lot of these players are just going to be prioritizing actually utilizing this augment in that second zone because being able to find that positional leverage for third and fifth zone specifically
100%.
goes a lot further for reaching that end game.
Yeah, really kind of allowing you to say, when do we want to pop this augment? When do we want that information? I'm telling you, man, the augments just bring a brand new layer.
All of them.
All of them. All of them. You love to see it. Now, of course, these are our analysts who will help us break down all things, but we also have 2 more faces to introduce you to. It's our casters, Levin2K and Jacob PR. Man, I don't know if it's just me, but those are 2 very tall gentlemen.
Jacob's really sizing him up right
Yeah,
there.
Jacob, that's crazy. I didn't know you were tall and 11. That's wild. Gentlemen, welcome to Major Number 1. Here we are, week 1. It's going down. How you feeling coming into it?
I feel great. Of course, whenever there's a new season upon us, it's always a bunch of fun. Of course, the major system now is super exciting. I think, throughout the year, we always get excited about the big wins, the big moments, all the players, the money they win. But now, when you're fighting for a spot in a big competition like the Global Championships, it just means that much more.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. You have FNCS champions, FNCS finals, first-timers trying to qualify for their first FNCS. This is a recipe for entertainment, and I'm chomping at the bits to get it started.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with there being so much in Chapter 4, right? Allowing these players to kind of really say, how do I want to play Fortnite? Here are my tools. Are there like anything you have eyes on, like that you want to see?
For me, when I look at what I want to see in these games, the hammer has obviously been a big part of this season. I feel like we always get players who are like saving the real good things for these kind of moments when it matters. Of course, we've already had the 2 sessions leading up to us here, but I'm sure we will see, players whipping out their best performances for this moment.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I've been casting the Elite Cup finals on my personal channel. Every single week, there's a close race, whether it's our first, second, or third, to get in that extra echelon for the prize money. I'm just hoping we get that same entertainment today.
I love to see it, friends. Thank you guys so much. Now, I know what you guys at home are ready for. It's games, and guess what? We are ready as well. It is that time. This is Major 1. Let's kick it with Game 1.
You heard it from the very beginning. The foundation has been laid. It is time. Game number 1, all that practice comes to the test now.
Yeah, the players will be ready. They will be raring to go. Of course, we are incredibly excited to be breaking down all the action with you across the next 6 games. A big, big moment for anybody to stake their claim and already set the precedent for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's time to kind of settle those nerves. We got a lot of contested spots. We got a lot of split drops coming out for some of these players. And we got a lot of dangerous competitors. You kind of heard them. 140 eliminations for Acorn and Cold, 120 plus for Booga and Peterbot. It's just an absolute nightmare if you get crossed in some of these players' paths.
Yeah, of course, I mentioned it just a moment ago, right, where we've had 2 sessions leading up to this, so we sort of have an idea of what these players are cooking up. And what I can tell you is that some players have been getting real fraggy, right? We have been seeing some pop-off performances, high elimination games. Well, we can't maybe expect to see, the big 20 elimination games in these kind of lobbies. Spoiler alert, if someone does do that, we're going to go absolutely ballistic. We're going to go crazy, but I still expect to see that level, you know, of precision, that level of, you know, cunningness that, you know, really the top players will just elevate above the rest.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of the new features. You heard the analysts talking about it, the augments, the new different shockwave hammers and different tools that you can use. So now that when you do get those tags, you do get the beams on some of those players, it's easy to close the gap. So players like Peterbot, players like Cold, players that love to get aggressive, now is their time. This is their chance. This is their season to really put it all to the test.
Yeah, I think if you're watching this competition for the first time, the big difference between when you're just playing, you know, your regular pub games versus these games is that there are so many little minor details that these players, these pro players put in all the work, all the hours, and look, you ain't got to wait much longer to see it. We're about to head into game one right now.
Game number one. You already seen it. You already heard us talking about it. Let's get it going. We got a west to east bus path. You got Breakwater Bay, Citadel. And a lot of people out there already know where Clicks land, Anvil Square. You're going to see a lot of action coming out of the gates for a lot of these POIs. Here it goes, right out of the gate.
Regardless of what level of Fortnite you play, there's always going to be an off-spawn battle, and we're already seeing players being knocked down.
Tachi gets one, already tagging up another player into the distance. Vila down low, trying to play slow and steady. Him and his teammates landing a little bit too far apart to go ahead because they know the early game, it's all about looting up. It's all about putting yourself in a right position. And right now, they didn't even get that knock, but they're taking full advantage of it. There goes Byla, getting one of the first eliminations of the game.
Yeah, you love to see that from Byla. Of course, Breakwater Bay, not one of the POIs with the most abundant amount of loot. And so in these sort of fights, you want to take it really quickly, right? Want to make sure you guarantee you have your side of this POI and loot up. They didn't like the fact that there was somebody in their area, and so they dealt with them appropriately.
Yeah, and kind of giving up the positions to each other. They know another duo is close by, and they know they just eliminated one. So they know that they can split this drop now. They don't have to get aggressive in a team that doesn't really like to split their drop. Booga and Peterbot. There's another two teams toward the south side, and it's a heavy hitting team as well. Acorn and Cold, so you got to be careful. Take too long, you could get taken out. It's like Trashy and Pump right out of the gate. Naves and Aaron putting up big numbers and already making shine here.
Hey, you love to see it. You love to see these off-spawn battles and who's able to come out on top. I think the big thing here is, Jacob, right? We have to keep track of these things throughout the next 6 games because you may lose off-spawn in game 1. That's fine. It's not ideal, but you still have plenty more games to go.
And you can already see what's going down. What you saw moments ago, Booga and Peterbot being able to be comfortable, loot up, do exactly what they want, mat up. But on the other side, it's a whole different ball game, a huge 180. Acorn and Cold, they have the low ground right now. Their opponents have the high ground, and that's that little bit of advantage. Cooper trying to get that extra angle. Shots getting peeked in. Hide and Seek is doing just that. Playing hide and seek towards the high ground, trying to sneak away these pieces. The piece control is huge. He doesn't get that one. He quickly backs off of that.
Yeah, needs to make sure he keeps enough separation. But don't be too... There will be opportunities for shots there.
Gotta watch out. Cole just took a big shot. That big opportunity you're talking about. Him and Acorn towards the low ground. You already saw that they don't have a lot to work with, so this is going to get dangerous the longer it goes on, because Booga and Peterbot, they're just waiting for the opportunity. As soon as somebody goes down, you might be able to see them rotate on over to Cooper and hide and seek. They got to take full advantage of this opportunity while they can.
Yeah, the longer this fight plays out, the more opportunity Booga and Peter we'll have to set up. One player forwards, that's going to be Cold, and so now Acorn doing his best, but his best will not be enough. That is an upset, Jacob.
That's a huge upset right there. Over 1,000 points throughout the last 2 days. It doesn't work out for the start of the day. And now we're on to the next one, though. Another hot drop here towards Faulty. Splits 3 trio teams landing over on this side. Jock and Claw trying to be the aggressors in the occasion. High ground. Shot's going to be traded off between him and Mega. And the piece control towards the low ground. So Jock being very, very weird when he's going to advance. But they do it at the exact same time. The dynamic duo of Jock and Claw shining big to get that first elimination.
Yeah, and Jack is very much feeling it. You see how aggressive he's being in these situations. And in a 2v1 situation, you do expect them to close things out. Just about sticking together, not allowing for a 2v1 or 2 1v1s, I should say. And they're going to make this light work. Finish it off. That would be 2 to start the game.
Yeah, perfect piece placement right there to take that one and immediately edit it. We got Duke over here with North trying to claim this spot against Saucy, and I think that's Mars as his teammate. Interesting enough, nobody's playing too aggressive right out of the gates. Duke trying to take the control. That shockwave hammer immediately being put to use. You can see him backing down, picking and choosing his battles because you can't get too greedy too fast.
Just trying his best here with the SMG and connecting with a bunch of shots. And that's going to swing the fight in their favor. They sort of have control of this one now. let's not speak too soon. You see North Tate trying to drop down there and hit a shot along the way, but with so little builds, it's going to be about hitting a big shot.
Yeah, for North Tate, it wasn't so much about hitting the shot as much as it was reuniting with Duke, trying to take control, find some stability in this battle, because there's not a lot of builds between either one of these duos going around, and the third-party shots even beginning to come in. Everybody needs Surge early, right out of the gate, so that way they could focus on the rotations, focus on other parts of their game, and I think Duke, North Tate towards the bottom, they know they want to disengage off of this fight. They want to try to remat up, get their resources so they can put themselves in a better position.
Yeah, and then instantly looking to try and start the chaos all over again. Swapping positions for a moment, sitting up above that hammer being put to work. But Duke has already experienced going down in this fight, and so it needs to be much more hazardous about the way he approaches it, but a really nice drop down there with the hammer. That's going to put them on the front foot of this one.
Yeah, little shot with the Mabe, and 93 again. Back-to-back on the Mars. Back-to-back yet again. Duke putting everything he had into that one, but you got to give North Tate some. He blocked him off with that piece, gave him no exit options out of that one. Great way to really start off the game.
And that's some really nice box fighting fundamentals you see there. The way they set up the pinch, right? One coming from behind, one coming from the front.
Calculated.
Very much calculated. And of course, when you're Duke, you have to just hit the big shots, and that's exactly what he does in those moments.
I like this one. I like this one. Blake and Bizzle, halfway through their games yesterday, they were kind of floating in that 52nd position, 51st, but then Bizzle and Blake, they clutched up big. They ended up with a victory royale, and that sparked their momentum for the rest of the day, qualifying here and getting into the position. You know as well as I do, some of these teams may not be known as the superstars of the region, but all they need is a chance, and they take that chance and knock it out of the park.
Yeah, and I think when you look at some of these names as well, right? Even the ones who aren't the superstars, some of them are very familiar faces in the NAE's region. Players who in the past maybe have had bigger successes, of course. You're seeing some of the benefits here of Peely's Plunder. Some nice treasure hunting in the middle of your competitive Fortnite game.
A mini game inside of Fortnite, the game that keeps on giving. Peterbot and Booga, though, rotating all the way from Slappy all the way back on over here. Static launch pads, a lot of mobility, zone moving here. They're trying to get themselves a perfect spot. A lot of elevation. That way, they don't have to worry about Surge, because you know this. I thought they were going to try to third-party Acorn and battle over at the beginning, but they did not, which leave them lacking in that area. Peterbot immediately building up and trying to take charge of their Surge. You have to be able to manage it in a finals lobby.
Yeah, when all those players from the Northeast start coming down, they're going to be in a position to hold them. All those Brutal Bastion teams and only Labs teams, they're going to be sitting perfectly just to get some shots off on them. Going to go a long way in terms of staying above that Storm Surge threshold. Not in ages though. They're a lot closer to the center of zone. And they're sitting pretty in terms of their loot. Maxed out on brick and metal. Very, very fruitful when it comes to the chunk splashes. We know how important and how key they have been, not just in this season, this chapter, but in the past year of Fortnite.
Yep. And this is another one of those teams, a slow start in day number 1, picked it up tenfold there in day number 2, getting that qualifier spot. Just like Clicks. Clicks actually, season after season, he is just consistently getting better. He's consistently progressing from his mechanical skill to his IGL skills. And now him and Donnie, I think they're just completely beginning to take over. Anvil Square, they claim that POI, and they really just take it to anybody that tries to challenge them. But Statics and Gold have the high ground over John Valenzuela. They're trying to take control of this battle. And that piece control is going to be the biggest importance here, especially how deep they're fighting in Storm.
Yeah, Statics. Gonna have to be very patient, but also ready to make a play. For Suscript and John, I'm sure they're calculating all their options right now. Of course, on the way to zone, there is a team sitting in the safe zone, just ready and waiting for an opportunity. And just above them, they have a team that is also very much gonna cause them some issues. So not the easiest of situations to navigate by any means. I think in the case of Statics, that flopper's gonna be huge in terms of giving them extra time here in the zone, both of them holding them.
Gotta imagine those Suscript probably trying to plan something, has some sort of trick underneath his sleeve with the shockwave hammer. We've seen it all too many times. When you're that player, that team on the low ground, you shockwave up, break down the builds, cause all sorts of commotion and chaos, and try to have a little bit of a surprise attack. But Static, Gold, they have to have been in this situation before. They have to have seen it coming. And that other team that you spotted just outside of zone, they're looking to be the gatekeepers. But you got to be careful, because depending on where the zone actually pulled, if you gatekeep one or two teams just a little too long, you put yourself in the bad position.
Yeah, and you can see how slow this fight has been. Both teams not wanting to overextend, not wanting to be the ones to make a play, and that play be the bad one. Almost playing this fight incredibly reactively. But sometimes you want to see players get proactive, and I think that's what we're seeing happen as we sit here now. The white HP heals are starting to run down low, and so time is running down. Ooh. Gold Duck gonna take a big chunk of damage, and that's gonna really change up the tempo of the fight. Statics will fall as well now, and all of a sudden, you have a 2v1 situation, and that's when they'll start pushing. That's when they'll start getting more aggressive, more proactive, and that's exactly how they'll clean things up. But of course, like we mentioned, they are not done. Def and Tahi, the ones holding their destiny to this game.
Yeah, they gotta be careful though. Death's HP looking a little thin in that scenario. That's the kind of sacrifice you make for trying to stormhold your teammate out for that long. Donnie, you got Mini trying to break down Donnie. What did we miss?
Thank you, Jacob. Now, Donnie using one of the brand new items, the Big Bush Bomb, to protect himself while he's going for these surge tags. Look at this. Inside the middle of the map, just looking for as many tags as possible. And of course, he is protected. He can also combine this if he has the Bush Warrior Augment as well, so he can keep his heals up, keep his health up when going for the tags.
Thank you very much, Mini Miner. We're going to have Mini joining us over the next couple of games, just giving us those kind of updates, right? Of course, Jacob, we are, phenomenal at what we do, but we can't possibly catch everything. And so big up to Mini Miner, who's going to be here throughout these games, and a bunch of our other analysts, of course, across this major, who will be filling us in the bits that we do just miss out on.
Yep, Mini Miners, mini moments. I know we're trying to think of a name in the back. Give him his own show. Figure out where it's going to air. Legends Landing, in-game somewhere. Make sure you guys check it out as the Zone Rise are checking out the field of their own, surveying, trying to figure out where everybody is at. 338 above the damage threshold. You know as well as I do, for the teams that are lacking in Surge, once it pops, it's going to be very, very chaotic, very, very active. So Zone Rise, they have that cushion. They have that little bit of an oasis to find that comfortability and do exactly what they want here. They don't have to force any plays. They can go ahead and pick and choose.
Yeah, Yomzo had to be a bit careful there. There was an Excalibur rifle, lining him up. Almost got him, but just missed. And of course, Yomzo, a player who's been so phenomenal this season, so I'm sure he'll be someone to watch out for. Pamstu and Thatch, they'll certainly be a team that we keep our eye on today and across the season.
I like him. I like them both. They're another team that just proves all they need is a chance. Barely qualifying in Chapter 3, Season 2. Making it very, very far through and through. Eventually getting to the FNCS Invitational as well. Vert and Walkers, a very, very aggressive team at times. They know how to get the job done. They really know how to close it out. All they have to really do is make it to endgame, and they really cement themselves as Kanata and Agers can do the same. You know how aggressive they like to get, but you know as well as I do, in these finals lobbies, doesn't matter how aggressive you are, you have to be very, very wary, because at a moment's notice, everything can come crashing down.
Yeah, for sure. The pacing, the tempo can all switch in an instant. We've seen that so many times in Fortnite. I'm sure you've probably experienced it playing yourself as well. Always have to be ready at any moment just to adapt, just to change, switch up the game plan. Of course, with Storm Surge active, there will be plenty of players now who maybe are just below that damage threshold and are going to have to start getting desperate. Clix and Donido aren't going to be one of those teams. 300 above is a nice place to be at, and they are positioned very well to start dealing more damage. Just sitting high elevated. This is an example, though, of a team that will have to start dealing damage. Def and Tahi, we saw them in the Storm earlier, trying to get that damage. They've got them their way into the safe zone, but now having to deal with the repercussions of not dealing enough damage up to this point in the game.
Now it's just inevitable. They have to go at it. Death taking two of his big pots, out of heals, running out of resources, trying to break through the bot. Suscript being able to hold on. John Valenzuela as well. They're trying to take two different angles. Tahi peaks just a little too much. He goes down. Death trying to make something of nothing, but he goes down as well. The Fool duo sent back to the lobby. John Valenzuela and Strubskep, they might have used that as a little bit of something that's needed. You go ahead and fight that back. Get above the surge so that way you can focus on your rotate.
Yeah, shout out to Big John. Starting off the day well, hitting a huge shot there, right? Because those guys are desperate running into box. And sometimes, right, when you are that team who is maybe fine on surge, you're not, down in the dirt looking to deal damage instantly. When you have those teams pushing you, you just keep your cool, keep your composure. You'll be more than fine. Hugo and Peterbot, certainly more than fine right now. 300 above as well. They do still have a ways to go just to get into zone. You see it constantly on the lookout, right? Even though they are 300 above, they'll take any opportunity they can just to deal some damage. Making sure to farm up on their way, using their wood now, using the tree to their advantage. Always trying to stay efficient with the way they use their materials.
Yeah, I like the way they can kind of switch up their play style in the blink of an eye, going from playing aggressive through the qualifiers to knowing when to pick and choose your battles. And you're seeing Noxie and Okus already kind of shining that Jelly Angler augment, trying to get as much heals as possible. 229 below the damage threshold. If they can out-heal this, they might put themselves in a good position because everybody else right now is fighting tooth and nail trying to stay alive. But another team, not 800 above. Slacks, Illis, looking good. You got to imagine with some Jellyfish, they might have the Angler as well. So in a great position.
Not too shabby right here. We're skipping around teams. Some teams struggling, some teams, maybe a couple hundred above. These guys, 800.
On vacation.
On vacation, big chilling. And of course, when you are so good on Surge, right, it gives you a bit more flexibility in terms of the kind of positions you can take. You don't have to be so aggressive as to thinking, ahead of yourself of, how can we deal damage later down the line? They can just sort of prioritize, hey, let's just do what we can to stay alive, stay in this game as long as possible, rack up them placement points. Changes your game completely once you can get that far above, and I'm sure Clix and Donnie will be feeling a very similar way.
And you see how, like in the minimap, how stacked the right side of the zone is, the north looking just as stacked. They're kind of a little bit thankful it's not that far of a pull because there are so many teams just waiting for somebody to rotate first to try to target them out and probably use that as a distraction to try to get in. Draw, Jock, they're going to be separated. Jock goes down. Now it's off the wall. It's back up against the wall. Noxie went down as well. Oak is back out to the lobby. You got to imagine that's a huge saving grace from Ducky and Encrypted. Even if they don't know Qua's there, they're the ones that's going to get all the reward for that effort.
Yeah, that is... Again, like you said, very big for Qua because it just allows him to stay in the game. And he has the means to sort of go on here as a solo for quite a while if he plays his cards right. But definitely will be thankful that he was able to sort of get away unscathed.
That's big, though.
Yeah.
That's big because every single season, I see these solo players, these solo clutches, and those points mean so much. So I'm going to put that mental note down. He had 8 points as a solo. To see where he ends up at the end of this game. And hopefully his teammate can pat him on the back for great efforts. Jamper and Paper, I absolutely love this duo. Taking us along their journey. The boot camps, the video, the vlogs, letting us know exactly what they're going through, how they're preparing. And I honestly think they've been progressing each and every week, and I love it.
Yeah, those two have become fan favorites. They'll have a bunch of people hoping they can do successful. And there's no reason why they can't. Kanada, a player who has showed us some of the best highs we've seen in NAE over the past year, still will be feeling like he has a lot more to accomplish, a lot more to achieve. And that all starts here in his first sort of session 3 that we've had in the Major 1. And he has a teammate who's very capable of supporting him and taking him where he wants to get to. A top quality team just has to deliver today. Polarized though, and users down below on Surge. And they don't want to out-heal things. They don't want to try and deal the damage when they can. Polarized constantly scouting, waiting for someone to be vulnerable. And he's going to be hearing fighting around him and thinking, is that something we can jump in on? Are they distracted? Can we just sort of go in and maybe sneak up on the team in this moment? But has to pick wisely. Can't be too overzealous.
Yes, Warrior and ABN on the other side of that one. Peeking through the cone, don't even know that this team is down Surge. And you could be above Surge. You could be just kind of playing your game, scouting, not trying to get aggressive. But a team like this, Polarized users who are down Surge, they're going to cause some commotion. They're going to turn somebody's game upside down unless they choose to out-heal it. 6 splashes, big pot, 2 jellyfish, and that's just on Polarized alone. They could make that a viable strategy here.
And the big thing here is thinking about the next rotation, of course. Jamper and Paper have to go past these guys. They'll probably be hoping somebody has some sort of a pad that they can use. Of course, those still in the game. There's still something that are viable, especially on these kind of zones where you have a max distance into that 5th zone. But a fight will break out. Of course, we talked about them waiting for their opportunity. Opportunity is arising. But again, just keeping tabs on Paper and splitting them up as well. Barely getting out of their Paper. Jamper might not be too fortunate though. They're going to stay on the hunt, stay aggressive. And that's probably not going to be too good for Jamper. He looks like he's going to fall. 92 taken. and he's only a couple more HP away from falling. It is not looking good at all, but Users himself has fallen. And so all of a sudden, for two teams who, of course we knew it was going to be a rough rotation for them, they've almost just wiped each other out here.
Bro, he turned that frown upside down real quick. But you got to know, Paper was right there with him, trying to make it happen. Back to where you began, though. Polarized trying to make some magic happen. He goes down, but at least he took down Paper, so he's going to get some points for his effort. Jamper knows he can't be the hero here. He has to go forward as a solo.
Jamper is no stranger to a solo situation, though, so we'll keep an eye on him and what he's able to do. For everybody else, though, the game just keeps getting harder and harder. No, it looks like Jamper's falling in the feed, so that will be the end of their run. Canada and Aegis, though, they still have a stake in this game. Plenty to work with as well right now.
And taking down Degen towards the high ground. Muzz having no choice but the Shockwave Hammer right out of there. You heard them talk about it, Taco and Vivid. That's a kind of a get out of jail free card, and they go and show it in the background to perfection there as Nut and Nosh are trying to scout this out. They got that front side of zone. They have the high ground. They have the recipe for success. It's just a matter here. 6 moving zone with all the Shockwave Hammers going down below you. The possible launch pads. Is it too soon?
Yeah, and of course with zone sort of pulling across a hill here, that will sort of make their time easier. You can see them scouting it, making sure they're aware of the terrain they have to traverse. There'll be a lot of players who don't have that sort of luxury. They ain't got that kind of visibility. A bunch of boxes all in between.
Look at the feed. Fuga goes down. It's going to be off the Peterbot here to try to be the hero. Can he get him back in the game as Miro and Edgy playing that calm, cool, collected, slow and steady wins the race. And it does like Peterbot was going to try to go for the revive, but he has to try to get out. You look at him right now, no builds, no heals, no resources. He needs the refresh. Peterbot with a huge shot, trying to take control. That's Rokane and Joji on the other side, and they used their get out of jail free card. They went past go. They collected that $200.
If there was anyone that was going to win a 1v2, you would think it would be Peterbot. But those players get away. He now has a tough job to do. Basically no builds, just has to get in and do what he does best. Hit some big shots. It's not going to happen for him, though. He will fall.
Oof. Lightning does not strike twice in the same spot. He finally goes down. Clicks and Donnie, though, looking pretty good in this position. Was going to use the word healthy, but Donnie looking a little light there, but not going to happen there as he kind of shields up along with Clicks, not wasting any time. Walker's a Vert trying to stay ahead of the zone. Suscript and John Valenzuela are going to stagger themselves back. They know they have the Shockwave Hammer to instantly try to take the front side of zone, but ends up into the wrong box. He has to use it again. Suscript finally gets out alive.
And as good as the hammer can be, if you don't scout, if you don't watch where you're going, you end up in somebody's box. That's not a great situation. All the players up, down, and over the hill. It's such a messy zone to deal with. Clicks and Donnie, though, they're staying cool, they're staying calm, and they're looking to try and get in, but Clicks, you gotta be careful. You need to get up here, buddy, and that's exactly what he'll do. All the way down it is to the bottom of that hill with barely a lick of HP, and needs to be careful because there's not all friends around him.
That's Rise on the other side, but I think Donnie was there just to save the day. Trying to back him off. Great shots being landed. Vert and Walker having a good layer here, but they know they still have to go to the zone. Shockwave Hammer coming out. Cooper trying to hold on. Sacrifices some HP. He knows he has the shield splashes, but under pressure, trying to get out, changing layers, working to the perfection, all while Nosh and Nut fighting for the high ground against Kanadas and Agers.
It is chaos right now in this lobby. Everybody trying to make the right plays. And up above, Nosh as a solo no longer has Nut. All he needs is to try to stay alive, but when you have Kanadas and Aegis knocking on your door, you have to answer, and he will be sent back to the lobby. Kanada and Aegis, though, prime now to take this game. You know they're going to try to clear everybody else out, though.
Yep, they get into that driver's seat. Thank you for keeping the seat warm. Clicks goes down. Now it's all up to Donnie. Plenty of builds to work with. Little light on the HP, but one refresh will solve that problem. You can see him picking and choosing, surveying the field, trying to find what is the right play as Walker goes up and over everybody that's towards the low ground, outlasting, landing into the top 10.
Yeah, but with how low Walker's is right now in terms of HP and materials, eventually he's going to drop down. And when he does, look at all these duos down here ready to just capitalize, ready to jump on him. Pamster, in fact, they're trying to claim front side of this, and they have really good control. Rise and Yomzo have a tough challenge on their hands. They need to hit some big shots and soon.
Taking a break. It's like they never left. Yomzo and Rise trying to take control as well. They're one of the teams I talked about making a huge comeback in the Elite Cup Finals, and they're doing it again. Costa goes down. They're really here, and they're ramping up. They're taking over this end game.
They got blocked off of low ground, and so they decided to move up and pick up a couple of limbs along the way, dropping back down now as the zone will start to move. They're going to try and engage that fight again. Cooper, though, he doesn't know who he's messing with. That was Kanada right there. You got to stay calm, my friend. As he plays this as a solo, big damage being eaten. And he has to just hold on in this one. No, he will fall as well.
Just a couple more seconds. The danger here, Augment would have brought him at least up to 100 HP. Huge. Bamso goes down. The Yamzo and Rise trying to take control of the low ground. Top 3 situation here. Kanata and Aegis have the high ground, and a lonely solo is that meet in the middle.
Yomzo and Rise so cerebral in this game. They couldn't take low earlier. They waited a bit for the zone to start moving a different direction. Then they claim it. And now they're trying to claim the victory royale as well. Like you said, there is still a solo lurking in this one. And so all will sort of hinge on what they decide to do. Thatch and Pamsu, though, they'll feel like they still have a chance with Thatch. Still kicking it, still holding on to height. But for how much longer? As he's now sandwiched Kanada and Aegis in, and so he's causing problems for them. They will drop down, and they won't be able to handle the heat. How's he actually done that? Thatch has managed to steal second place, and now it's a 2v1. Rising and Yomzo will clean things up and take game 1. The duo, Jacob, that has been so impressive. The duo that has been in top form so far this season. They start the major the way they intend to finish, in first place.
And you see them tunneling towards the low ground, not really making any noise, setting themselves up a couple of boxes wide, and as soon as they heard Kanata and Aegis trying to take down the solo in the high ground, that was their cue to go, and they went and took over the rest of that game.
Impressive play from plenty of duos in this game. I'm sure Kanata and Aegis here on our screen, they'll be wondering, where did things go wrong? How did we allow Thatch to bully us like this? He really made things difficult, really made things awkward. And like I said in a moment, he stole away second place almost. You never really expect a solo to win in that situation, but he did a brilliant job. Still though, was no match for Yomzo and Rise, who again, they have just been so impressive this season. And if this is how they're gonna keep it moving, I'm very excited about their chances.
I mean, they already have back-to-back Week 1, Week 2 Elite Cup Finals victories. They're just channeling that momentum. I'm telling you, these finals, they just create different beasts.
Yeah, I'm super excited. What a first game. We have plenty more of those to come, but we need to take a little break, right? We still got a lot of games to handle, so we're gonna send it to our analysts to break it all down.
Thank you guys so much. A fantastic way to kick things off here in NAE's Game 1 of Major number 1. My gosh, it feels somehow the same, but a lot different.
Chaos ensues, right? And that's pretty much exactly what we wanted coming into Major number 1. All the stakes were on the line. We said that the roadmap was laid out. The players needed to come in and show us what they really had, and I feel like they really did that in game number 1.
And it's exciting, too, because we got a little bit of everything here. We saw some of that high ground action with Kanata and Aegis. They were commanding that hype layer for the longest time, up until Not and Nosh started to try and push them off. We saw a brief drop from Aegis and Kanata, but then instantly retake that height layer. And it's important because of the fact that they were just able to secure so many elims, so many tags throughout, just applying a lot of pressure onto those mid and low ground sections.
And you can see right here, just absolutely annoying the heck out of Nosh. And they just kept breaking down any high ground that they had built. But I mean, this is exactly what I wanted to see out of Kanata and Aegis. I mentioned that they were so good at Storm Surge last chapter. They made it to every single end game. I just feel like they didn't find enough eliminations. And then coming into half zone this game, actually, they already had 4 eliminations. And of course, closing that game right there with 8. That is exactly the form I want to see them in.
But despite having all of that high ground control, again, it was the low ground that actually ended up dominating here. And Yamzo and Rise, very similar storyline to what we've been seeing from them throughout these Elite Cup weekly finals. They have just been completely destroying everyone that tries to challenge them on these low ground sections. They kind of snuck underneath. There was a brief instance where I believe Clicks almost had the opportunity to try and challenge him with Donnie. Unfortunately, that duo just got a little bit too split. So Yamzo, Rise, they just continue to maneuver throughout this low ground area, building out to make sure that they had a literal empire on the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, the playstyle that we're going to see throughout the major, maybe even the entirety of the year from Yamzo and Rise, is that they love to go to the front side of the low ground of zone, but they don't do it until like the later moving zones actually, and it always works out for them so well. But one of the plays that I really love out of them right there is that they actually had that low ground position, but then they went back and went up to actually find a refresh. So big awareness from them right there.
You can tell some of these duos have already adapted, right, to everything that Chapter 4 has to offer. Here we go to take a look at the standings from just game number 1. Of course, Yamzo Rise, massive victory royale there, leading the pack with 109 points now. Remember, this is just game 1. We have another 5 games here in week number 1, but still a kind of an awesome showing to just kind of start off the competition.
A pretty action-packed top 4 as well. I mean, 11 elims, 9 elims, 9 elims, 10 elims. It's kind of fantastic to see that we are getting exactly what we asked for, and we're telling these players, hey, are we going to be aggressive or not? And I mean, with how chaotic these late games have been, it's just so hard not to run into someone, especially because there were many instances where we saw those Shockwave Hammers almost working against the individuals that were using them, because if you're not careful with direction, Levin mentioned it, you might just wind up in somebody's box, or you could be Peterbot and just catch them off guard from behind.
I really quickly wanted to touch on Coop, who is there, caught in the end game, went down fourth, but he was solo. What happened? What led us to that moment?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, Taco, it begins at the early game, right? The south side of Slappy is where his run actually began.
And it's incredible, too, because Acorn and Cold, they've been doing such a fantastic job leading into this first week of Major 1, but Cooper and Seek, they do not care. They took the immediate contest off spawn, they win it out, and from that moment on, they were able to establish so much early game surge management that they were able to just prioritize the positional advantages, and even with the solo instance there for Cooper, he still had 4 elims by the end of it, 5 total for the duo, and again, a solo clutch into that top 5, always fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. And then now we're actually going to run through some of these highlights from that solo clutch. And, you know, as you can see here, hide and seek going out a little bit early. And this is where the Shockwave Hammer plays such a pivotal part right there. Maybe getting a little bit lucky on the John. They're just kind of finding himself in the box. But nonetheless, you know, it's a random situation that happens. But he seems like he is so on top of it, always prepared. And that's why we can find them in 5th place right now. Can't wait to see what they can do when they're actually a formulaic duo in that end game.
Yeah, the Shockwave Hammers, man, just makes the game so insanely dynamic. You just never know when someone can show up. Now, obviously, if your duel is kind of like expecting it, it's a little easier to combat. But like a lot of these plays we just saw, it was like chaos, right? They just show up. Where are you in my box? What's going on? Where's my wall? It was amazing. You
know, it's funny from like a player's perspective. Of course, you have to always be on your toes and ready for pretty much anything. But I feel like us as spectators and everybody at home, you also have to be on your toes because so many things can just happen at a whim's notice.
That's right. Let's head on back here. It is almost that time for the next game on the day. So just really quickly, thoughts. Are we maybe hoping to see anything different in game 2? Because I feel like for me, man, let's just run that back.
I'm ready to just run it back. Honestly, get us off. Get them in.
Let's go. Let's go. What do you think, Vivid?
More of that. Yeah, just, you know, world formulaic stuff. Hopefully Acorn and Cold can turn around in game number 2.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's that time. Game number 2 is upon us. Buckle up, everybody. Let's run it.
Well, our analysts said they want to see more of game 1. I promise you one thing, we're going to have more and even better, Jacob.
Yeah, hopefully they laced up their shoes or even changed them depending on where they're at in the leaderboard, because this is a marathon. This is not a race. You got to be able to stay consistent through those games, because don't fret, you might look at the leaderboard, over 100 points, Yamso and Rise, it's not out of reach.
Yeah, look, we might end up sounding very repetitive today because once again, the players are on the battle bus. They are ready to hop towards their POIs. And just like the start of every single competitive Fortnite game, the focus will be on contestant. Who will win Osborne? Who will be victorious in where they land?
Baila and Penn still taking their same tower. Fred Akame kind of contesting the whole other side of Breakwater Bay. You got to be careful, because it was last time where Baila was able to get one of the first 2 eliminations in this same spot. And it looks like it might play out again. Fredbot, Gutter Leaf, a little bit distant between their counterparts on the other side. C's already getting one as well. Blake getting one. Everybody getting active very, very early.
Yeah, man, it's not looking good, right? When you land off spawn and get taken out so quickly, you feel like you ain't even got a chance to get a feel for the lobby yet. That is never, ever ideal. So many players falling though in our feed. It looks like Acorn's gone down again. So there's a lot happening. I'm sure we'll try to catch up on it all because big names going down, but Baila will fall as well. And so now all up to M-Pen, and as good of a player as he is, he will not have the facilities to handle it.
And you can already see somebody trying to sneak back, trying to take over. There's Rise and Yamso not having that same sort of luck this time around. I told you, we gotta go ahead and have that consistent gameplay through and through, but it's a 1v1. Rise versus Braids. Rise gonna go ahead and heal up. Braids not getting into the action just yet. He's trying to go ahead and play for the revive onto Moo. This is gonna be an interesting tactic, but if it pays off, Levin, it could pay off tenfold.
What is Braids cooking? Will he be able to hold on and get the revive? It looks like it. Just a couple of seconds. Will he hold on? No, he's not going to get it, but he'll still win the fight. Braids! I cannot believe what I've just seen. Our game 1 winners, Yamso and Rise, one of the best duos so far this season. They have fallen in game 2.
Yeah, we already talked about Acorn going down early. And Booga and Paterbot trying to take full advantage of the situation, taking that POI and calling it theirs. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at the replay. How did this action start?
Peterbot doing what he does best. Harassing players that cause him issues. A big shot there. Wow, he just turns around. 180, 180, 360, he'll just hit a shot. Doesn't matter. It's like aim training for him. And those guys will be over the moon. If you're Booga and Peterbot, right, you know you have one of the best duos in the world landing at your POI, but they just have another duo just dealing with them every single time. You can just walk in and clean up. They will be ecstatic about how this day has started for them and how this game in particular has started for them. Will they be able to capitalize, though, with how great of a POI Slappy Shores is? I'd like to hope so. Switching gears, though, right back into the swing of things. Another fight here. And it's North Tate and Duke who'll be looking to win this one.
You can already see how many builds they're expending rather quickly. But Saucy, he's separated in a 2v1 situation here. And that's where Top G and Duke, they know exactly. They can be patient. They don't have to rush. And Saucy trying to go down, trying to go out. Use the static launch pad. Cone over the head. Denied. Access. No more. And he finally goes down altogether. The huge elimination being picked up, just like on one side of the map to the other. Everybody picking up these early eliminations allows them to focus on their rotations.
It's actually really good for them that he was able to drop down into this building and they could confirm the elimination, because there was a team from afar taking shots. They almost stole the elim away. That wouldn't have been ideal for them. Nevertheless, another fight. The Excalibur being put to use here by Muzz. He's not a happy man right now because DGen is down and he does not want that. Tahi causing issues. So he wants revenge.
You can already see them adapting on the fly. Death and Tahi going down to Storm Surge in that last game. They know they need the damage very early on. They already got an elim onto DJ, but a huge shot by Muzz. Wins the 1v1, takes out Tahi, and now he has that whole POI to get DJ back into the game.
Yeah, you can't mess around with Big Muzz. He will make you regret every single action you take. A very impressive player and showing us why there. And brilliant mechanics on display. Clix and Donnie, though, we saw what they did in that first game, and by no means are they done just yet.
And I like Pamso and Fatch here. They were separated for the beginning of the Elite Cups. Obviously, popping off big. 4th place, 68 points. Reunited never felt so good for these two. It's like they never left in this situation as XF and Dubs trying to have the high ground. Another team approaching, trying to put in the shots.
And I think the thing with Pamsu and Thatcher, you saw there in the top right, they've been playing together longer than any duo in this lobby, right? And if you're Pamsu in that last game, you're watching Thatcher and you trust him to get the job done, to deliver something special. And that's such a key element, right? So many of the duos in this lobby are competing with each other for the first competitive season, right? You know, sort of getting used to each other still maybe. But these guys, they know each other well at the back of their hands. And that goes a long way at the top level. For Dubs though, and Except, in session 1 they were super impressive. So we'll see whether they can match that energy now. Certainly doing a good job so far in this fight. Thatch now is hoping and wishing that he can survive this one. And those two just applying copious amounts of pressure and taking Pamsu out along the way. Nicely executed.
That had to be hard, though. That had to be very hard. Encrypted and Ducky on one side. I think you got Chimp and Spade on the other. And usually we're talking about third parties, but guess what? They sent out 2 extra invites. You got a 4th party as well. And immediately, as soon as that one's done, Dubs and XF are like, I don't want to be in this situation anymore. I have to be able to get out. I have to rotate. And because they knew who exactly landed at their POI, they knew they got taken out, they know exactly which direction they begin to rotate right back into.
Just seeing the red eye being put to good use here.
Uh-oh. Big possible opportunity for Clix and Donnie as well. Otis on the high ground, just melting away Clix's shields, backing him down, but backing him down right back into Donnie. No harm, no foul, as long as they can kind of regenerate the shields and HP that was just lost.
Clix falling asleep there for a second and punished for it. Don't like to see that from the big Clix. Does have the shield, so to get himself just a bit back up. But again, when you are so central in the map, Jacob, it can be so hard for these teams to take these kind of fights because there are so many players all around you. 360 degrees you have to worry about. It is very difficult.
It's just one of those annoyances. It's like a fly out of a picnic when you're trying to go ahead and take your battle, get your shots, and then it's just 4th, 5th, 6th parties just go ahead and trying to lend a helping hand.
Because most of the time they're never, going to get the elim per se, but that extra 50 HP that they chunk off from like 300 meters, it goes a long way in these fights, right? So Perfectly put, right, in terms of just being that annoying fly that you can't seem to get rid of.
Especially at my picnic. I like food. Walker's, he likes high ground. He likes storm surge damage. And that's exactly what he's going to do over towards Anvil Scope. We got to be careful, though, because all the initial teams that did rotate there are already rotating out. They're trying to get themselves a better spot in zone, so they're just hoping that other teams that landed towards the outskirts are going to use that as a rotational path to try to get in the zone.
Yeah, it's an interesting game here. Champa, you saw how their game came to an end. It wasn't the most ideal. They didn't have the best of positions when trying to move into that 5th zone. Had a max pull 4th, and so they'll probably feel like they got a bit unlucky. But nevertheless, can't rely on zone luck in these kind of games. TK relying that there's nobody else in the zone anywhere near so that he can pick Pledge up. Mega and Justice gonna be looking to refarm with this building. The materials aren't ideal, right? And that's one of the problems in terms of, you know, being in some of these central POIs. This biome in general, this season on the map, isn't the best for metal, right? And so you'll see a lot of teams with low counts like this having to get creative in terms of where they go to get their metal.
All those stoves on the inside, everything's getting scavenged for. And it's even harder when you are in one of those contested spots like Faulty Splits to where, yeah, you're getting a chance at such good loot. And that is a little bit of a trade-off, but you risk not being able to farm, not being able to mat up on top of the lack of actual resources that are gatherable in that POI. You see where the next zone is going to pull a little bit more towards the center, which you can already see Slappy Shores, that right and eastern side of the map, that's where it is going to be a bit slower.
Yeah, for sure. For Joji and Rokane, you can see their setup isn't too bad. They'll have the chance to sort of take those sort of shots from a distance like we were discussing when it comes to all these players and trying to get above the surge threshold. I would love to know, though, one of the teams who we saw so much of last game, the 3rd place team, Canada and Ages, right? They're able to make it deep in games. They want to refine the end bits, but what are they doing in some of the earlier moments? We got Mini Miner here on the side to fill us in on what they're doing.
11, they are taking absolutely no risks whatsoever. They're building a huge tunnel at their drop spot, Faulty Splits, giving them so much real estate to get Storm Surge tags. Of course, this also enables them to put some heals up at the top so that then, of course, they can use those when they're going for tags and potentially getting hit. Beautiful stuff from this duo. Let's see them pop off again.
I think that's one of the interesting things to follow, right? The strategies players are using, the small little techniques and tricks that go into making sure you can stay above the surge threshold. Of course, shields go a long way in that, right, Jacob? Because, you know, if you need to deal damage, there's often a good chance you're going to take some damage. And so when you've got that extra bit of shields in the reserve, it just allows you to be a bit more zealous in your attempts to be aggressive and take fights.
And I get that feeling of deja vu because last time I've really seen a strategy like that pay off. And yeah, it's used. It's a very common strategy. Gather all the heals. That way you can trade shots. But the last time it really paid off, Seti and Cammy, EU, FNCS Invitational. Throughout 2 days, they got 4 victory royales. And so you got to imagine, at least the blueprint here for Canada and Ages has already been laid, knowing exactly what to do, trading those shots. And, oh my God, 3 straight tags. Shield just ripped right off.
This guy is unreal. You can expect to see him hit shots like that over and over again. That's what the red eye is for. And that's why you'll see a lot of these teams pick it up, just because it allows you to hit shots like that. You're not likely to hit shots like that with an assault rifle, just a regular one. The red eye, though, the extra bit of precision you get being able to aim down sights is huge.
Yep. Warrior and ABN, 221 above the damage threshold. They got static rotation next to them, so even though they're not in the zone, they are close by, and they have plenty of options to work with. TK and Pledge, I'm actually really interested in their story for this game. Pledge was taken out early, gone. TK used a lot of time, taking a lot of damage in the storm just to get Pledge back into this one and give him a second chance at life.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to have to be, you know, a story of uphill battle, because they are down when it comes to everything. In terms of surge, they're barely above. The materials are horrific at this stage in the game. Absolutely no metal for Pledge, barely any brick. It is not setting up to be the best of games for a duo who has been rather impressive so far this weekend. And so don't let this moment here, you know, be your only judgment of them as a team. They do have more to show, but this game is never over, right? They can always turn things around.
Quick stat, Peterbot and Booga are the only previous FNCS champs competing together today in NAE, and just goes to show that even though during, you know, regular cups, the off season and things like that, Booga's not necessarily there, he really rises to the occasion when these big major FNCS is rolling around. That goes to show that nerves are just not a thing for him. They're just not in his body at all, not in his anatomy.
Hey, there's a reason many consider him the greatest of all time, right? He's done it in the big stages and he'll continue to do so. Of course, though, this is a big stage and a stage that you'll have to perform on if you want to gain the respect of your region, and these kind of fights are the ones you have to win if you want to make your way there.
Some Epoxy and Tetro, they were going for it, 153 below the damage threshold, but he peaks, takes a huge shot back from Chimp and Spade, and they're ready for it now. And as soon as they hear those shields crack, they know Storm Surge is active, and this is their chance. They can either get aggressive, try to take control of the situation, or they can play passive, knowing these guys are taking damage no matter what they do in this situation.
Yeah, they are just holding their cool. You can see how they're just sitting on the right-hand peak, sitting on that angle. They're waiting for them to make a move. They'll be ready for it. And you see, shotguns already hitting big shots as well. Chimp, he is excited. You can see it in his eyes. He's hungry, and he'll hit the shot as well. Big stuff. And cheeky 2 limbs for them as well, making it look easy.
Yeah, I believe they kind of went 2 separate directions with that Shockwave Hammer, went into 2 separate full duos that. And sometimes that separation is just enough, even though you're trying to play aggressive, but another person who is down and needs to get back up is Clix. You can see no Shockwave Hammer, no extra resources. Even though they're above the damage threshold, you know a refresh is imminent to come out of them.
Yeah, they're looking for it. They definitely see an opportunity. I want to make sure that they have a path towards the zone. This is another game where we see them sort of having to struggle to deal with a bunch of different teams around them. That was perfectly timed. Nave stood no chance. I'm sure he blinked and he didn't even realize he was down with how quickly they took him out.
I feel bad, though, because Clix and Donnie are expecting a treasure trove of goods, and they get an empty pinata. Nothing.
They'll take what they can get, right? Beggars can't be choosers.
True.
Slacks and Illis in a similar situation where so many teams rotating past them. And they will do themselves a world of good by picking up this knock, and that's exactly what they will do. Ignat goes down. And that makes their rotation a bit easier in terms of now they are sort of not the prey, they're the predators. They're the ones on the hunt, on the ones on the push.
And they read the play right now. A south pole, and they're on the farthest north side. They know very few teams are going to be able to contest this right now, especially since they're fighting backside into the zone. Illis lands that final shot, getting the elimination, the refresh, and now on to the rest of the journey. They continue, but they still got so many other teams. I said it was a south pole coming from the north. This is going to be a minefield.
Yeah, and look, Donnie and Clix. All of a sudden, again, we talk about quick turnarounds in games and how quickly things can change. Donnie's down. TK wants to get revenge for Clix picking up Pledge, and that's exactly what he did. Oh my goodness, he made that look mad easy.
Both of these teams, I mean, TK was actually fine through and through. His Pledge, we didn't really have much to work with. We saw Clix and Donnie moments before this. They didn't have much to work with. And we can actually see exactly how TK made that come to fruition.
Yeah, you see here, just a couple boxes away. The easiest limb he'll probably get today, right?
It looks like Pledge did most of that one.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, that's the teamwork, making the dream work. Pledge goes down, sacrificing for a couple more points. Storm Surge to put in his back pocket, something that he can use for the rest of the game. And you can see the average placement coming out of Illis and Slack, 12th across day 1 and day 2 of the previous round. And I like that because that prepares them for this style of play. Instead of going around, gathering all eliminations, W keying, playing aggressive, they're getting ready, using those 2 days for as much practice as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And look, the big thing is, right, is that, you know, these players are playing for series points today.
True.
So if you perform well, you know, you can come back. In previous editions of the FNCS, maybe if you were one of the top 3 teams or top 5 teams, you maybe even qualified straight to the finals, right? And so you didn't have a chance to sort of come back into this session and fight again. All of these players will have that opportunity when it comes to next week. So you want to set the seeds and allow them to grow throughout the rest of the qualifying weeks. Costa, though, they'll be wanting to have a better game. but it's not going to be easy when they're down on Surge. They're forced to take a fight and aren't working with much by way of HP. Literally no shields remaining. They just have to hit some big shots and quickly. But with the separation being created, I can't lie, Jacob, it is not looking good. I do not see these guys staying alive for much longer.
No, it's very scary to think, too, that they were hitting a couple of shots, but it's still not enough. Storm Surge hits right back and takes them out, back to the lobby. And you got to go ahead and revamp your gameplay. That's something that you have to do game after game. You can't think that the same thing's going to work every single time, unless you're maybe Peter Butt and Booga, to where you have your game plan that solid, that tight, to where you can go ahead and continue doing what you do best.
Yeah, look, they were looking at big raids there, right? So you got to put some respect on his name.
True.
Obviously, one of the players that took out Yomzo and Rise earlier in the game, so definitely not no one you want to mess with, but he is looking like a solo at least, so not going to be in his strongest of positions. Canaan and Aegis, though, we obviously saw how they were setting up for Surge. Aegis now being picked back up. So hopefully now they'll be able to get redemption, because I'm sure they will feel like they should have been getting first place in game one. Reduced down to third, though, by Thatch himself. Bert, though, struggling. He gets knocked. So it's all on the Walkers.
Yeah, Walker's knows he saw it through the cone. He has to be able to get out. Wall's going to get taken, though. Walker's getting backed up. He now has to change layer, go up, go over. Vert, it's a non-factor. Can't be the hero. Trying to wait for that perfect moment to edit the floor. Script is there along with John to try to shoot back. Not letting that surprise attack be successful. And they immediately just pick him up, take him back into the boxes. Let's get this loot, that slow and steady gameplay. Not getting greedy. That is the recipe for success.
That is brilliant from Suspect and John. I'm sure they will still look to try and see if they can pick up Walkers, but just having the discipline there to not get overexcited. Make sure you grab the body, secure the loot, and then we reconvene and see what the best play is. Too many times I see inexperienced players just get ahead of themselves in those kind of situations. Oh, we got 2v1, let's go in. Ooh. No, staying calm, and now making their way over to the zone. Gonna split this rotation up into two, use the hammer for one movement, and then the second. And that should be enough to get them into the zone.
Then Peterbot just lagging back. They know they got one of the shortest runs of the lobby. Zone's going to be moving slowest here on this right side, wasting no time, getting right into the zone, finding themselves a great spot. And Vivid talked about it. If any of these teams do have forecast, you activate it in this zone, you'll see zone 6, 7, and 8. You'll be able to rotate and use that shockwave hammer to try to steal away the front side of zone.
What I like about this visual is that we have Threats and Macwood, and if you don't know anything about these two, you can very much expect to see them in these kind of positions all major long. They love to play height, and they are very good at it as well. Macwood has been doing that in competitive for a very long time, since the beginning of competitive in NA East. And he'll continue to do it to this day, and the Threats by his side, they are a formidable duo for sure.
Just looking out there, I'm like, Encrypted, what are you doing, my man? I know we're going to find out sooner rather than later if that plan is going to work. You see him splash? I think it could. No, well, never mind.
Never mind.
We'll go back and kind of figure out what he was doing later, maybe after the show, something like that. Because right now, John and Susscript, they're brewing up a plan along with Peterbot and Booga. Talked about it, their front side of the zone yet again. They have a little bit of a layer, but you know, they're going to probably shockwave. They're going to build up the ramp just like Macwood is doing, but instead, they're going to try to shockwave to the front side of the zone.
Yeah, that's going to be very secure with all that metal they built there. Walker, so still moving as a solo. We obviously saw Vert getting taken out, but he's not giving up in this game. 22 below, hitting a shot there. That will go a long way, puts him 42 above. So you can breathe, but just for a moment, still need to get back on the offensive statics though. They're looking for a box fight situation. They know they need to fight. They know they need to get a refresh. They know they need to get above Surge. And the opportunities are certainly around them, but they just have to be a bit quicker. No, getting hammered out of the way. And now trying to hammer back towards each other. Susscript though, he's off-pit John. And so he's now going to be playing as a solo. Does have the hammer though.
Big mini being used right there. Trying to get himself right back up. Macwood and Threats, I love this high ground take. They're getting it right on the layer. Scare and Slam is right below them. Have to be careful.
And all these duos who are sitting up higher, right, it's brilliant for them. Because the zone's pulling across a glacier, and it means it's going to be a very steep cliff. If they can suffocate these duos beneath them, it's going to be a very, very good time. Joji and Rokane are going to be scouting things out, though, figuring out where they can move to. And once they have figured it out, they decide they want to move towards that front side. Zone pulling away now. And that'll give a chance for all those teams lower down, just to get a bit of breathing room, just to get a bit of space. Illich though on the offensive.
That's without slacks. He knows It's all on to him to pick up as many points as possible. He knows it's 4 more games after this one. All those points can add up to a great total as Macwin and Threads still holding on to that high ground, tarping out. They're getting ready to put that pressure down as Walkers, we talked about him being a solo, he's able to get into the zone. Pretty healthy at that, but he doesn't have any builds. Anything is better than nothing here as Illis goes in. Huge refresh going to be captured on the gold duck, but pressure from the high ground, but he has plenty of heals to work with.
Scuffed solo in the backside, just having to rely on his shotgun. Subscript though, in a similar situation, but not in the backside of the zone, just lurking, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for someone to walk into his sight, but doesn't look like anyone's going to be there. Illis though, still in the thick of things.
Rapid's gonna go down, Walker, Fred, everybody's getting taken down left and right.
Careful.
Illis, all he needs is that little bit of HP and shield, and he's trying to outlast everybody just along with Suscript, who finally gets spotted out, tagged up, got dropped down to the low ground and sent back to the lobby. Rokane is gonna get the credit for that one, trying to go in. Doesn't get very many resources for his efforts though.
But the zone pulls back, and that's gonna be brilliant for him. It just gives him that time he needs just to get himself back up. Up on height though, things are changing all over the place. What happened to Macwin and Threats? We were singing their praises, they were up on height, everything was looking good. And now they're looking scuffed. Now it's down bad. Max with no mats and no HP. He will fall. ABN and Skills up above looking great.
They have the control of the high ground. Plenty of builds there to connect themselves to, so the danger of not falling is not going to be there. Kanata under siege. He goes down. Him and Adrian did everything they could to continue that consistency, just like Jamper and Paper. 5 eliminations so far. Making it to the end game, all they need is a chance.
Yeah, it's now kicking off for all of these teams. Rokane still trying to stay alive here, running low on mats, very low on HP. Can he hit a big shot? That's going to be the question he has to answer. Peterbot and Bugha, though, they're looking primed and ready to deal with any of these players who just fall down, walk into their sights. Free loot for them, it seems.
Yep, front side of zone. Plenty of builds in terms of endgame here to work with to try to stay ahead of everybody else, except cannot say the same. 2 builds, but 2 splashes in the shockwave. He can try to make something happen along with Paper here. 2 different shockwave handers he needs to work with. Plenty of resources. It comes raining mass, but bounce to the outside. Goes right back in like a game of ping pong, trying to land the shot, but he gets just enough to get inside zone.
Paper hitting just the shot he needed. ABN taking out Bugha. Will he take down Peterbot? It doesn't look like it. Peterbot will get his revenge. And now players are falling from all left, right, and center. But it's going to be a bigger limb for Paper. He keeps on hitting these big shots. I don't know how he does it. And now all of a sudden, a solo who had no business really having a big stake in this game looks like he could win the whole thing.
Paper beats Rock, and he's hoping everybody down low. It's just a bunch of rocks. The Scare's trying to go up and over. Paper gets knocked down. Scare doing what he can, but all this damage from the zone. He needs to be able to pop the med miss. Doesn't get it in time. He goes down. Peterbot making magic happen. 5 eliminations. He has the med miss as well. This is a 1v1v1 for the game. Peterbot goes up and over. Gets another elimination onto Quanti. 1v1 situation. This is it. This is everything for the game. He has high ground. He's in the zone. Except trying to shockwave up. He gets denied entry. Peterbot with 7 eliminations by himself takes the game.
Staying cool, calm, and collected. When Bugha went down, he didn't shake, he didn't worry. He held down the fort and he wins the game. So many solos left in that one, but he was the one that came out victorious. They were looking strong throughout this game, and when Bugha fell, it was looking all bad. But when you have Peterbot on your team, one of the best players in the world, when it comes to just being a cool, cold-blooded solo player, and he shows exactly why. Wow.
I can just imagine Peterbot standing there right now, eyes closed. Imagine like he's in the Roman Coliseum telling everybody who just watched that, are you not entertained? Look at him just take over. Except he didn't really have a chance at this point.
Yeah, it was really over from that moment when you saw him building up. You knew it was going to be a problem. Wow, Peterbot and Bugha, a duo that everybody who watches NA knows are them guys. They you know, right?
He's him.
But when they show it in these games, it really does get you excited for the FNCS. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, there was a lot of madness. We know Peterbot and Bugha took that victory royale, but the leaderboard has shaken up so much. We need 3 of the best analysts to break it down and let us know where we're at after game 2.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
My goodness. I mean, this is why Bugha picked up Peterbot, right? I mean,
The application coming in handy.
there it is. I mean, Peterbot, just an insane solo individual, man. I'm sure Bugha was like, oh, it's just you. It's fine. You got it. You got it. Go ahead. Win the game.
I mentioned it, right? Like the trust that is existing right now between this duo, it's insane. And I can tell you right now, Bugha was just sitting there and he was watching Peterbot go for it. He was like, yeah, he's got this 100%. I mean, Peterbot was looking clean in this endgame.
The moment that you see that it is a full-on individuals battle royale to the finish, you kind of have to root for Peterbot in that instance. And more importantly, even if you go all the way back to the very start of this game, you have to keep in mind, Peterbot and Bugha actually did go for the contest this time.
Yeah.
Last time we saw them actually rotating out of North Slappy for game 1, but for game 2, they took the challenge, they took out Cooper and Sleek early on, and, well, worked out for them.
That's right. Here are our standings as they are after game number 2. Agers and Kanata have now moved up. And look at this, third place, Peterbot and Bugha up 17 places off a single game. So literally no one is safe right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been game 2. Dig, and then, of course, Jamper and Paper as well, going up 17 spots.
Again.
Accept and Dubs as well, jumping up 22 places. So
W's.
big game for a lot of teams here, but it's great to see Jamper and Paper getting into this end game and showing us why they are so good.
Ever since they established their boot camp, I think that the synergy has really started to develop between these 2 players. And Paper, for example, the fact that he was still able to collect 1-2 more elims just to try and secure a few more spots on the jump off. I mean, 17 placements being held up in the leaderboards, that is definitely not an easy performance to undermine, and especially the fact that there's just so much happening in these endgame instances.
There's a lot.
I feel like the big takeaway for me is just like, high ground just ain't it anymore. Like, yeah, it might get you to those final moments that you need to in the game, but there's just too much happening that, like, is low ground just going to win? This is the new thing, right?
I really just feel like it's just like ping pong match, like Jacob mentioned. Everybody's going up for high ground, but one team that was trying to hold it and did a really good job of doing so was actually Macwood and Thresh. Like we talked at the top of the show, everything on NAE East was switching up. All the teams were switching up. Well, the one thing that remained the same was this duo and the fact that Macwood loves high ground. So it's great to see him back up here. And honestly, I really feel like they were in such a good position to actually hold this for the rest of the game. And I thought they were going to win it, but again, those hammers just causing so much chaos, forcing them to use so many builds. I think it became a little bit too much for them.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit problematic whenever you're actually trying to maintain staying on top of the lobby, getting those free shots off. But again, elims can only take you so far if you're not able to maintain that high ground.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious to get your guys' thought on Storm Surge, kind of as it is right now. Feels like some players are managing well, some maybe not so much. What do you guys think?
I mean, so far, I'm kind of liking the things that I'm seeing out of the top teams for sure. I think they have some really good strategies going on around it, but it's just all about kind of like finding where you need to set up on the map and making sure you establish some early bases so that way you are elevated enough to pretty much see any of the rotating players around you to make sure you can get tags on them.
Yeah, Blake and Bizzle, I think, are a duo that did an excellent job at this because early on, we saw them establishing 2 separate bases at their POI, and they were just toggling in between them, making sure to collect their Storm Surge management early on, and it just made it all the easier for them once they started to rotate out.
Yeah, and then not to mention, we had Mini Miner come in during the middle of that game right there, right? We showed off Kanata and Naders, right? They were establishing a base over at Faulty to make sure that they were in a good enough position to get any tags on anybody that decided to rotate through. But then not to mention, those bases are so good because they just claim all that space whilst you are tagging everybody. So you're kind of like safe in that area as well.
And I like the utilization from a lot of these players. They're opting for bush bombs from time to time or just building their bushes or ramps off on the bushes because they're able to maintain their surge management, but simultaneously, they're also making sure that they stay safe. And if any of these players also happen to have the Bush Warrior augment throughout that process, I mean, they're healing while they're also getting their tags in.
Yeah, those augments, right? They can add so much. So there's a bunch of them that kind of amplify some of the uses of medium ammunition. Sometimes you don't actually use some of them. So a lot of things that can affect the gameplay throughout the entirety of these matches.
I'm telling you, man, self-expression, being able to say, how do I want to play this game? Augment's going to help me do that. You love to see it. Now, those are just the first 2 games. We have plenty more to go. So let's get ready because that's right. Game number 3 is underway. Let's go.
Already there's so much excitement, Levin. After just 2 games, it feels like it's been plenty more, especially with the way Peterbot handled the pressure of that end game.
Hey, look, that's what he does, right? For the best players, it's easy, right? These big moments, they're nothing, right? It's an everyday in the park for a player like Peterbot, but who can rise to that level? There are plenty more. We saw some upsets. We saw big, drastic changes in the standings. There's going to be plenty more of that. But if you are some of the teams who've maybe been struggling off spawn, right? Acorn, Can you, come back? Can you change that now that we're here in game 3?
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, do you change up the whole landing spot? Do you change up how you're playing your specific play style? Because right now, I don't think anybody coming into today after 2 games would have ever expected what they're seeing out of Acorn and Cold, but I'm a believer. I'm a believer in Acorn. I've seen what Cold can do with the biggest pressure of them on. It's only a matter of time. And with game 3 starting now.
Let's jump in. Let's jump right on in. Too many times today, we've seen the feed go in a direction you wouldn't quite expect. And props to the players who are upsetting the big names in their off-spawn fights. But at a certain point, you got to think things will change. But who knows? This Fortnite, you never know what you're going to get when you drop into a map.
I mean, I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping for a little bit of a switch up. Maybe some of these newcomers rising to the occasion. We've got a huge switch up of the bus path, which is going to allow us to see Dubs and Accept already going at it. Pam's going to go down. Fats trying to be the hero and go straight up, and Dubs takes him straight right back on out. 2v1. And Yamso goes down again. It's all up to Rise. And they fall. 2 straight games right out of the gate. Yamso and Rise are going to be looking to really change things around.
I don't know how that's happened. Rise and Yamso go from winning the first game to just absolutely losing everything, it seems, in these first 2 games. I can't believe it. That is heartbreaking for Yamso and Rise.
I've seen them come back before. It may have been in game number 6.
We should not have mass mail-in balloting. We should not have early voting that goes on for weeks and weeks beforehand. And we should demand that systems are in place to ensure that ballots are counted on election day, not for days and weeks and months.
It's not easy by any means. And you have sort of a bad start to a day like this. And I mean, props to Coop and Hide and Seek. Because as much as everybody will sit there and go, oh my goodness, how come Acorn and Cold don't do this well as before? You got to big these guys. They're going to continue to do so as well. Got to be careful though. I don't want to give Acorn a 1v1 situation because he does win those, but nevertheless, another game in their favor. Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's almost like all or nothing in the next couple of games coming out from them. Their playstyle now has been dictated by the situation that they're in. They have to start picking up eliminations from here on out as Pyla and NPen. They're no strangers to eliminations. Pyla already has one. Trying to take the piece control, but goes around instead. Takes down Fred. Huge siphon and refresh. He sees NPen in a fight. He gets taken down. Gutterleaf versus Bylaw here.
This is not good. A 1v1 situation now here at the Breakwater Bay. I'll be honest with you, Jacob. As somebody who has loved my time playing this season, is Breakwater Bay a POI I think is worth 3 teams fighting for? I will be very honest. I do not think so.
I'm glad you think so. Same thing. Because I was thinking no, but I trust your judgment.
It's one of those situations that, look, Breakwater Bay, it's not got the best metal, it's not got the most materials of any POI by any means. It's not got the most actual loot of any of the POIs. Again, like you said, it's one of those sort of outskirt POIs. Look, I don't get it, but clearly the players feel like it's something worth fighting for. And I think when you look at their positions in the standings, they don't reflect well on the POI. Nevertheless, somebody has to win this fight. I'm sure Byla, after seeing his former teammate Peterbot going crazy last game, will be hoping he can match that level as well.
Have to be careful though. Aaron and Naves are slowly but surely sneaking up. They might not have gotten an invitation to the party, but they're still gonna crash it nonetheless. Piece control almost going over. Great peek by Gutterleaf to take the shields right down from Byla. It's gonna force him back, force him to try to stabilize the situation, use whatever heals he has to try to get back on up, but the sneak play is in. They're crouching, they're trying to minimize the audio cues that they're giving out. Byla and Gutter have to be careful because it doesn't matter in this situation because they both have the potential to go down.
Gonna try to use that Excalibur rifle when connect, and that's gonna be huge. It's gonna give him that incentive to push on, but he needs to be careful. I think he realizes there is a duo behind him. That's gonna be Naves and Aaron. We've not had the best of days, and so realizing with all of the things going on here at Breakwater Bay, maybe there's an opportunity for a third party. There certainly is. Got a lethal 4, and it looks like Byla's next. He has nothing to answer when it comes to Naves and Aaron. Strolling in, making it look nice and simple.
For Naves and Aaron, who are kind of in that same situation, the lack of metal resources, they got all those refreshes, all the siphon mats. So they got to be looking good at this situation, especially you count in the search that they just got as Rokane and Joji. A little bit of a split drop here on this side of the map. They're just looting up so they get themselves a better position. But Edgy and Miro slowly sneaking in. They heard all the commotion going down, fight after fight finishing, and this is their chance to get their own surge. Only 10 points so far. This is, again, another team you wouldn't expect to be in this position.
You can see Edgy and Miro playing it very slowly. Looking to try to set up sort of a pinch, both of them attacking from different angles. And they will have to be patient with the opportunity. And it looks like Miro felt the opportunity was there. Takes a shot onto Aaron. Maybe could have waited out just a bit longer, because they have now had time to sort of get their shields back up to a decent point. Of course, still not aware of Edgy's positioning, and so this is going to be huge for Edgy. Can he hit a big shot? Not too shabby. I'm sure he would have wanted more. Of course, not easy with that red eye from close range.
I like this though. Edgy slowly but surely trying to back off, doing what he can because he doesn't want to get pushed by them too. He's separated from Miro. All it takes is a split second of separation for them to try to pounce, try to attack, and take advantage of the numbers game. But Edgy, he's been in this situation before. He has one of the biggest brains here in the stage. He knows exactly what to do. He's backing off. But there's another team slowly but surely sneaking in.
Is there something I'm missing here about Breakwater Bay? Why is everyone so attracted to this POI?
I don't know. It's like a vacation home down here or something where everybody kind of relaxed. The zone did pull over here to see the replay. Over towards Shatter Slabs. Jylix and Owl. That's going to be a huge shot on the DJ who falls again, leaving Muzz by himself.
I can't lie, you got put through the wax there. I cannot lie. I was looking at some creative montage stuff right there.
They're trying to get things going early on. Throughout the 2 days, they finished very high. I know watching one of their games during replays, I was trying to research as much as they can. They got a massive amount of eliminations and a victory royale in one of the last ones, and that's the type of momentum you like to carry in, the confidence you like to build going into the third and final session as Pledge is trying to break through, take control of these pieces, trying to catch somebody off guard. Finally get to the box. Piece control is going over, edits the piece, takes down the player, 4 more points to their total, and a bunch of confidence really begin to build up.
I love that from Pledge. Just as he peeks around that corner, placing the stair there, blocking off the angle. The extra precaution. It goes a long way, of course. And now, back to Breakwater Bay and all the amazing things happening at this POI. So many players here in the Storm now. But is there any real winner from this situation? Looks like Edgy is trying to leave. I don't think Trashy's going to let him get away with it too much. Aaron and Naves, of course, will feel like they can get in on this one as well. But teams now at least starting to make their way towards the safe zone. Still have a ways to go as it closes.
Trade-off right there. Aaron seeing it all go down in the distance, getting a knock on the pump. Edgy got down early on. Pump still down. Trashy can still try to go ahead and break out, get the res, but that other team knows that they're there. And now they have the choice, though. They can go ahead and try to continue the third party, make their lives that much harder, or they got the surge. They already got their elimination, so they can go ahead and focus on that rotation to zone. And it does look like a possible reboot card was picked up. Miro's trying to get out. Anything can happen here.
Yeah, for sure. Trashy, I'm sure would maybe think he can pick up his teammate and get things back on the road. Again, one of those really awkward. You do see situations like that where you have a bunch of different teams, a bunch of different parties, all sort of vying for the same thing, right? They want to deal damage because they know Storm Surge is going to be an issue later down the line. But it isn't that simple at times.
Nothing's really ever that simple here in Fortnite. And that's the thing, you can't get lost in the sauce, you can't tunnel vision. This Kanata just takes a huge amount of damage from the side, but that's not too much to worry about. Agers wasting no time, going hip to hip. They know exactly what to do in these scenarios, how to hold the walls when somebody is under pressure, as Booga and Peterbot, they're immediately trying to go over.
Yeah, and of course, one of the bigger parts of this season has been the augments. Mini Miner, can you tell us how are these players using augments to their benefit?
They're using them very effectively indeed. Now we have Gold Duck right here using the aerialist augment to speed up those mid-game rotations. We can see on the minimap in the bottom right, they're not actually in the safe zone, but this aerialist augment just allows them to go through the zones a lot quicker. So expect to see this team in a good position.
Thank you, Mini Miners. Quick breakdown. Catching us up with some of the things we might have missed, might not have known. And I like that. I like the aerialist because if they're able to make it towards endgame, they can make daring acrobatic plays, taking high ground, and immediately trying to give it up. They can bait players into unfavorable situations knowing they have an escape plan in their back pocket.
Peterbot back on our screens here. I'm a big fan of this duo. And I'll tell you why, Jacob. I feel like I've seen this before. And you might be thinking, what is this Levin guy waffling about? Please shut up, Levin. Like, what are you saying? This is the first season they're competing with each other. No, I'm not talking about NA. I'm talking about EU. Don't get mad at me. But this duo reminds me a lot of Tayson and Thomas HD way back in the day when they teamed up, where you have the person who on their region is considered a respective GOAT, Tayson, the parallel there being Booga. You have Peterbot, who the parallel being to Thomas HD, just the guy. You know when you have the guy, Peterbot is that guy, Thomas HD has always been that guy on EU. And I do think, though, the difference with Booga and Peterbot is that they can probably do what Tayson and Thomas were never able to do last year, and that is win an FNCS championship. A very, very impressive team, and a formula that definitely could work, and it's been working so far today.
One impressive team to two more. Clicks and Donnie, Kanata and Adris, box to box, wall to wall. Kanata trying to go for that piece control. He's going to get at least one, forcing Clicks back into the same box as Donnie. The trick is right now is they're barely flirting with that Storm Surge threshold. 40 below, 27 above. Another team sneaking by, though. You have to be careful. If you don't watch out, Angers, you could be taken down. That's Claps. Sneaking by. And I like this right now, Kanata, even though Angels is on one side, Kanata's just honestly always getting that information. You always got to be doing something here in Fortnite.
Yeah, got to stay proactive. Can't sit idle and put your thumbs together. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to start moving. Of course, have the shockwave hammer to do so. And as always, Kanata hitting some shots, but taking some damage as well. The chunk splashes will allow him to get back up if need be.
Before I use my splashes, he's probably letting Agers take his shots. That way, if he gets tagged up, they're optimizing the actual splash usage. But you got to be careful if you get pushed. You only have 100 HP at that moment in time as Dubs and Accept trying to peek through, get themselves some elevation. They know there's so many teams on the outside of zone. Even though they're 200 above the damage threshold, there's always room for more surge.
Yeah, and there will be opportunities for them to get tags from where they're sitting at. Of course, Aegis and Kanata still in the zone, trying to make their way in and just barely making it sort of under this natural ridge in the map. And it's going to give them the space and time that they need to get their heals back up. But to be honest, for a team that's been so impressive today, they look depleted, and this refresh would go a long, long way. If they can pick up Claps, which is exactly what they'll do, it could be the key to keeping them in this game. It's definitely going to be worth to run into the storm to get his loot. But there are eyes on it, so Kanata's going to have to use those builds, guarantee that he's not, you know, getting too greedy by any means.
Warrior and ABN, so much high ground. So it's very interesting to see that they're 59 below the damage threshold, trying to out-heal it, using a lot of their minis, trying to save the splashes to the last moment. Donnie's going to go down to fall. Clicks is out as well to Ducky.
Right now is head to zone, but they don't really have much by way of HP. The med missile get Edgy back up. He obviously saw how much they were struggling earlier. And to get back into this game, I'm assuming it's going to have to be some sort of a big box fight. All right, they're going to have to get on the offensive, catch a team out, and just hope that they can hit the jackpot, right?
Sounds easy.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, I was about to say, sounds easy, but you know as well as I do. Everything is much harder in Fortnite, like the mirror. Everything is larger than it appears, as Joji and Rokane are the only team other than Kanata and Aegis to place top 10 in the first two games. And that goes to show it's not all about the victory royales. Consistency beats out more times than not, as Illis has the Peely's Plunder treasure map, but he's down 86 below the damage threshold. And this is where it goes to where he might not be able to pick and choose his battles here.
Yeah, the weird thing is that his teammate is actually behind these guys in terms of names and Aaron. His teammate's by the gas station. So even though he's alone, Slacks is just sort of behind that. Oh dear.
That's first place.
Okay, Aegis is down. Canada now has to make a big play, but even if he is able to survive here, this game's flipped on its head. Playing as a solo from this point on is going to be a very difficult task, even for a player of Canada's level. But Dubs and Accept, they've done the world of good in terms of trying to further their campaign in this tournament, taking out one of your top competitors.
And that was a miracle find because they didn't have that shockwave hammer moments ago. Now they're using it to get the zone. Canada trying to be hot on their heels, getting gets punished. Aaron and Naves get not one, but two of those eliminations.
They needed that, right? They were
bad,
obviously up above Surge, but didn't really have any metal. Naves just picked up about 400 there, right? For a big elim for them for the rest of this game. John and Suscript here, they have a chance to really start to take up a lead on that leaderboard and gain a bunch of points, and some of their top competitors are down.
But this right here is the moment. I like what you're saying. They have a chance, the potential to take to the top side of the leaderboard, but they're 88 below the damage threshold. The next moves they make could decide the future of them very soon. As they continue to stout, playing patient. They know all these players around, peeking for Surge, shooting the shots just like they are. They're waiting for somebody to slip up. And they're separated. That might be the move that they can make, as Rokane and Joji knows they're in a similar spot, 219 above. They can play exactly how they want because they know they're not forced to peek.
Yeah, this is going to be big. Joji, Rokane, they see something, and they actually are going to be able to profit off of it. And again, not getting too greedy. They need to be cautious. There's a lot going on. They, just like us, will hear all these shots, all these fights taking place. Maxo just below that. Gotta think he'll be caught out eventually. So much is going on. This is very chaotic right now, Jacob.
They're doing a good job, though. Suscript and John, throughout all the chaos, surviving. Still 83 below the damage threshold, which isn't much, to be honest. A couple of well-placed shots with that red-eye assault rifle would definitely put them above. There goes 28, but they're still below, taking damage. They have to figure out what they're going to do to get the next 54. Peeking through the same hole. Storm Surge still taking them up, trying to out-heal. No more splashes on the Sudscript. Somebody pushing into the box. That could be the recipe that they needed, because even though they got aggressed on, they landed the perfect shot to put them above the threshold.
I like that from Sudscript. Hitting a big shot just when they need it. It isn't too favorable for him, and so we'll take a chunk of his HP. But this is exactly what they want. An opportunity to keep them in this game. But the pressure from Vert and Walkers is relentless. It's causing them issues. And they also have to start planning their rotation, right? They aren't in the zone. They will have to get there. For teams who are maybe looking a bit better for that, Miro and Edgy, they have the hammer. And so they know they can get to zone anytime they want. And the time is now. Going to land towards Booga and Peter, but maybe even look to get in on them. Looking for that all-in play. I don't know if that's a duo you want to do it to, though.
That's not one I would want to take on, as Bugha is able to take down Edgy, making them instantly regret that decision. And it was Bugha of all people, not even letting Peterbot get in that one, as they do have 2 eliminations, 374 above the Famers threshold. For them, it's business as usual.
Yeah, look, you're going to see all around the lobby players jumping into boxes because they are very, very desperate. But there are certain boxes you just don't want to walk into. Players falling left, right, and center of that. And Walkers, who've done a good job of being the aggressors, the instigators so far this game. Now maybe running into some trouble themselves. They've got the eye of some of the lobby. Miro, who obviously just lost Edgy a second ago now, is going to have to try and plan out the rest of this game with, what, just 12 builds? As great of a player as he is, he's going to need a lot more than that.
I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little bit worried about Miro, but at the same time, I'm waiting because at a moment's notice, he is the type of player that can pop off. You see the zone, a stacked south side, but that is also the front side of zone. So anybody that's stacked towards the backside, they probably have to wait for everybody else to begin to rotate and then shockwave their way there.
And for Roken and Joji, Roken just scouting out, figuring out where exactly is safe for them to be able to use their hammer. They don't want to run into too much. You can see Vert and Walkers, though, they have the prime positioning to hold on for height here as they build on towards this hill. And for the teams in this lobby, if you want to have a good game, you want to be one of the first ones to get up on this hill. And so for Coop and Hide and Seek, they need to start planning their way and getting up. Dubs and Xcept are doing a brilliant job, though. This is where you want to be. You don't want to be the teams stuck down below, late to rotate upwards. Because if you are, the likes of Vert and Walkers up on height will be ready to pounce, ready to take you out.
And honestly, this is where Forecast, and this is why Vivid said it's probably one of the best augments in the game right now, because not only does it go up and over the mountain, it goes right back down below. So if you're trying to pick and choose your spot, you got to be careful, just like Dubs and Xcept under siege, under pressure. The bounce outside of zone, but a shockwave hammer into the hands of Dubs, send him right back in. Jamper's down. It's all up to paper. 10 HP. He gets sent back to the lobby as Joji's trying to do the same. Roken went down. It's all up to him as a solo.
Yeah, it's not looking too great. But you never know what Joji can do. He can always make something happen. He has his eyes set on people. He sees people moving, and that might be his cue to start moving his way on as well. The hammer will allow him to do so. Needs to make sure he stays out of the line of sight of and Walker taking a shot along the way. But they're the holders of height, getting chopped out though, as you do so often this season. Just need to hold on though.
Yeah. They have the builds. They're getting challenged by Peterbot himself, Bugha as well. They're doing just enough. Shockwave hammering to the front side of zone, and guess what? Height is still theirs. Rain and Bugha's.
Bugha and Peterbot, they weren't just happy with that first place in the previous game. They want another one. And so they'll look to try and play from height. We'll keep following that. Joji, though, we saw his journey as a solo, and it will sadly come to an end. Noxy and Okis waiting in the front side of the zone, looking back at all of these players, and are very, very comfortable. They know how to make a move, though. And as they look to make their move, they see to find themselves in the same position that they were capitalizing on others, stuck in the zone, stuck in the dirt, stuck in the ice. Sent back to the lobby. Dubs and Xcept will pick up another. They see all that loot there, and they see another player. They're going to keep taking shots.
Brave move by Scare, but he had no other option trying to heal. Bugha still holding on to that high ground. Peterbot going to the backside of zone, trying to cover and making sure that they're set, but they're only just on one layer, and that's why Peterbot's going to go forward, build ahead, get that height, and try to secure it for him and Bugha. 6 teams left. This is definitely theirs for the taking.
And this zone has been so awkward for all of these players that are down below. Having to slip and slide across the ice, and sliding into the wrong box is going to cost you, and that's exactly the fate that Vert faced. Walking right into Dubs. He's got 6 already this game. He is on 1.
You said it yourself, Peterbot and Bugha looking to go back to back, and he's not only going to take part in it, he's going to try to take it by force, dropping down just enough to try to get the extra resource. You see him building up to protect Bugha, but Shockwave Hammer right back on down. The challenge against Dubs. Peterbot is going to go ahead and try to solidify himself. The patience, this man can attack anything, but he knows when and where to do it.
We just saw him in this position a bit earlier, but this time he has Bugha with him, so there's going to be even more confidence. Group and hide and seek. We saw them making brilliant plays earlier, cerebral in their attempts, and doing the same here, down low on Matt. And so in this final sort of zone, they do have to hit big shots if they want to do it. Peterbot is ready and waiting though. And so making sure to build up, don't want to lose height, don't want to get too excited, because there are still some top teams in this. Dubs and Xcept. Coop now playing as a solo, and now all about hitting these crucial shots. Xcept will fall, Dubs will fall as well, it seems, as Bugha and Peterbot are making him pay. Will they connect to the final shot? Having to drop down though for a second and use them chug splashes to heal. but you've got to think it's a matter of moments.
Game 2, they had 8 eliminations in the Victory Royale. Game 3, they have 8 eliminations, picking up more to 9 and going back to back. These guys are looking to just lay down and take over the game and have it be their throne. They are the kings right now of NA West, and they're daring anybody to challenge them.
We do not sing their praises for nothing. This is a serious team, and this is not just, you know, a top performance from them. This is a serious warning to the rest of NA East. You cannot mess with these guys. They will make anybody and everybody pay. What a game. To start the game off a bit slow and then roll through and just stop the whole lobby. What a duo. I am so impressed.
This is looking like their day 1 of the qualifiers, even to make it to this point. Almost 100 eliminations in that session 1 alone. It made it to where they didn't have to go all out. They didn't have to spend too much energy yesterday. They're saving it all for today. And what a plan that is. These guys cannot be stopped right now.
I just love how Peterbot makes some of the most intense high action moments look like just a creative warm-up, making it look easy. I don't compare these guys to some of the best players of all time in other regions for no reason. They are really them guys, and they're showing it here today.
Yeah, and I think that comparison was almost perfect. I know tomorrow, EU, they're going to probably be looking at us saying, hey, what about that comparison now? But for Bugha and Peterbot, there's nothing to compare them to. But let's see what other great things have happened during that last game. Zeke, Vivid, Taco, break it all down.
Thank y'all so much, as always. Halfway through here in NA East, my goodness. And these guys are talking about comparing. I'm going to be really bold here, okay? I feel like this duo is a lot like Vino and Queasy. Now, I know what you're saying. Whoa, Zeke, whoa! Listen, let me contextualize. This duo specifically, Bugha and Peterbot, it feels like Bugha is like the eye in the sky. He's just waiting. And he's like, okay, Peterbot, right there. And then Peterbot's like, oh, sick, let me jump down. All right, sick, I'm coming back. You know, like, it's that kind of dynamic that these guys remind me a lot of. So it's cool to see that. I mean, after game 3, points speak for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I'm looking all the way at the top of the leaderboard, and Peterbot and Bugha are finding themselves up there. But there was just so much about this game that I actually liked and myself learned. First of all, Peterbot and Bugha shown us that the Shockwave Hammer, we talked about it in games number 1 and 2, it was really, really hard for teams to hold height because of the Shockwave Hammers. Bugha and Peterbot just kept hopping from high ground to high ground, making sure that they stayed at the front of the zone, so that way nobody at the back of zone could knock them out. But then it was also like, usually when we watch these high ground teams, they get caught up in applying pressure sometimes. But no, Peterbot and Bugha looked like they were just constantly ready for anybody that was going to Shockwave Hammer up, and it was the perfect counter to that.
A lot of discipline exemplified here as well from Peterbot specifically, because he had instances where he could have gone for the finish on the elims when he was able to find those knocks in those final moments, but he chose to stay cool and composed. He waited for the perfect moment to actually strike, and he looked like he was out there on a firing range for a hot minute.
Love to see it. In third, Hide and Seek and Cooper. I mean, these guys also just putting on an absolute show for us here in NA East. Sitting pretty in third place, and I mean, I just love that we get to see kind of more names highlighted.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And that's on the back foot of them also utilizing the hammer very, very well. I mean, Cooper getting caught off guard here, making himself get all the way into this end game. And it's a really bold strategy to actually go out into the storm with the hammer, right? It's always a bold strategy to go into the storm, but he knows that he has enough charges to kind of make that play, make sure he lives just a little bit longer, and then come right back with it.
Again, though, it's just another fantastic solo clutch coming out of Cooper and this duo. They can just trust in each other. And, well, I think that Seek has a lot of faith in Cooper at this point, because first he made it to 5th, now to 3rd, and it just continues to help them climb, because that's a +9 on the leaderboards.
So good, man. Just so much talent here in NA East. One of my favorite things to see. Now, we do have a very special guest joining us here in just a moment. It is none other than Tokata. Hello, buddy.
Hello. How's it going? Great. I mean, it's been amazing so far. Thank you so much for having me.
It is great to see you, my friend. How are you enjoying things so far? I know we've kind of announced this global championship, and you got kind of like a little bit of a taste of that at Invitational. Are you excited for the global championship?
Look, words can't even describe my excitement. I use the same phrase in Invitational, and seeing the hype from the audience, from the community, from the players internationally, I mean, players from Asia representing Middle East, I mean, it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and with the global championship being announced, I can't wait to see who makes it there and, I mean, how the competition rolls out.
So, Takata, how are you and your watch party enjoying the game so far, though?
it's been crazy, right? We've seen some clutches. I mean, Peterbot has been popping off. We have some big names like Kanata Agers doing great. Overall, I mean, there's been some insane clutches. I'm loving it, but I really want to see who kind of ends up coming out on top. I mean, this is week 1 of the qualifiers, so.
Yeah, and quick question before we let you go, and I don't want you to say forecast. That's way too easy of an answer. What is your favorite augment right now in Fortnite?
Look, that's a good question. I could go for like the combination, getting the light fingers and pistol lamp to kind of make the pistol be a lot stronger. But I think I'm gonna have to pick Danger Hero because it's so useful when you do get cracked to get that little bit of extra mobility and your health getting regen. So if I can't say forecast, I'm gonna have to say Danger Hero.
And what are you looking forward to in the last like 3 games here? Is there anything that you're maybe like hoping to see that we haven't seen yet?
Look, I'm glad you asked because we've seen a lot of the Titans perform, right? The Peterbot, the Agers, the Kanata, but there's a duo that, you know, I'm interested in. It's Costa, who's representing Argentina, and his duo partner Zeus representing Mexico. You know me, you know how I like supporting my Spanish-speaking friends, so I want to see them do a comeback. They're not doing the best right now, but they're halfway up that leaderboard, and if they get a few good games, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them at the top.
That's awesome. Well, Tokata, thank you so much for your time, buddy. We'll be seeing you here for weeks 4 and 5 of Major number 1. Man, I love Tokata so much.
He's
but
great.
we have 3 more games left to go here. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm kind of in love with the Shockwave Hammer. I said it.
We've seen a lot of plays around him. I mean, a lot of chaos going on, a lot of plays being made, and I can't wait to get like 3 more times of that.
You know, everybody's entitled to an opinion, Zeke. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Wow. Anyway, you know what? Cameron, just come here. Yeah, just ignore Taco. Hey, guess what? Game number 4 is upon us, so we ain't gotta wait much longer. Let's get into it.
We are at the halfway point. 3 very, very entertaining games thus far, and 3 question marks to come, right? But what I can tell you about these question marks is that they will be very intense because so many of these teams now are looking very, very good going into the last 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of 3s going around, and for Bugha and Peterbot, they're trying to make it that 3rd victory royale on the day.
Imagine.
Dude, I don't have to imagine. I think they have the best chances to make it happen. They kind of tossed away a team right out of the gate. They're no longer being contested, and now they can pick and choose. Do I want a third party that or not? But luckily for us, we don't have to wait long to find out because game number 4 starts right now.
Game number 4. Who will it be? We've just witnessed 2 victory royales from Bugha and Peterbot. Will it be the 3rd for them? Will Acorn and Cold finally win off spawn at Slappy Shores? Who's gonna come out on top over here, right? At Lonely Labs, Matt Quinn and Threats, one of the better height teams in this lobby, have a difficult task on their hands as they have to win out off spawn. Lonely Labs, one of them interesting POIs, a bit different to some of the other ones we have around the map. And a repeat may be here. With Yomzo and Rise looking not too good off spawn.
We threw the number of 3 around, and this might be the 3rd time. They go down very, very early. They need to be able to pull it back, and Acorn doing it well on the other side of the map, but no, Rise gets denied again. Braids and Moo are just taking over this landing spot, calling it theirs, but Cold is down at the top of the factory. Hide and Seek is doing just that, trying to play hide and seek to stay alive. I do believe Acorn is going to be able to get the res.
Yeah, there's a sliver of hope finally for this duo. We might finally get the chance to watch Acorn and Cold play out a full game. But as I say that, it's none other than the lobby boss, the lobby king, walking through and causing issues. Peterbot running in a big shot onto Acorn. And in the one game where they might finally have won their spawn, they have the best duo in the lobby rolling on through. This is just so difficult to watch if you're a fan of Acorn and Cold. Cold finally being a limb, and Acorn just waiting for the inevitable, it seems.
Called him the lobby boss. Now I'm waiting for him to just take a POI, spawn with a mythic weapon, and hopefully everybody's just kind of trying to take him down because
any shotgun is a mythic weapon in the hands of
That's
Peterbot.
exactly. He's going to get the mythic thunder. That's just give it to Peterbot, put him in the game. because he deserves it the way he's playing right now. And he's already hunting for the next one. Spots out Acorn. A defensive wall going up. But a defensive shot by Peterbot. Over 100. Tagging and taking down Acorn. 50 more. Impulse is going around, but they don't work like shockwaves. You can't break through the build. Acorn under siege. It's only a matter of time before Peterbot strikes again.
Oh, look at how he's antagonizing him. He's already eliminated him and he just keeps shooting the floor.
Just need
a
to make
sign
sure.
of disrespect.
You just need to make sure.
Just making sure.
Don't get up. Stop trying.
Oh, man.
This is our POI. Go somewhere else. And this is honestly the same exact start they've been having since game number 2 when they got that first victory royale. Because game number 1, they split it. They let him go on their merry way, and whatever happened, happened. Since then, they've been just taking over as Nosh and not trying to do that same thing over here towards Anvil Square. And it already looks like Clicks is down, so Donnie's by himself, but he does have plenty of builds to work with, plenty of resources. He just has to find some separation between the two.
Donnie has to go huge here. It's not out of the possibilities, but when Nosh is piecing like that, it's never going to be easy. Donnie looks like he's going to have to say bye-bye. Nosh and Nut making things awkward, making things tough. Oh my goodness. And to take the L just for the cherry on top, that is what you call clean.
That's what you call thinking inside of the box, as Threats trying to capture the spot by himself at that. Macwood is going to be the one going down. He's trying to get everything he can, except in dubs. 172 points. They are out. This is game 4. The next highest is about 78 points down, if my math is correct. That's a big if, though.
I'll be real. I don't think your maths is correct. But the point still stands. Because when the second place team is down like that, it is going to leave a gap, a window for all those players just beneath to waltz on through and get themselves involved. But Trashy, he doesn't have pump. He is going to look to select an augment.
Oh, I saw in the feed. I saw 2 things in the feed. Threats as a solo's making magic happen, and somehow Peterbot is down. Fredbot and Gutterleaf holding the low ground. Trashy's by himself. You know Pump is out. And I like this move by Trashy. He played around with it like he had the high ground. Immediately left, and there it goes. Hide and seek, peeks at the right time. He takes out Booga as well. First place is out. Second place is out. If you wanted a miracle, you were granted it just now.
The top 2 teams in the lobby have just given a wide open window for anybody to waltz on in. Booga and Peterbot, who were looking so good, they were literally taunting Acorn and Cold. They now go down. Booga on the defensive. Peterbot 2 on the offensive.
Wait a minute, was this a 2v1?
No.
Hide and seek?
No.
Just 2v1?
No.
Booga and Peterbot? You have to come out on top after that, right? You don't take down Booga and Peterbot in a 2v1 and not win the game. As Threats, he already took down one himself. Now in a 1v1 scenario, shots coming in from the third party. 1v1 against Albanian, and Threats stands up tall. Now he's gonna get the reboot and get everything to himself from Lonely Labs.
I'm still in awe of Hide and Seek.
If I didn't see the replay, I wouldn't have believed it.
What is he cooking?
Let him cook. Just let him
I'm gonna let him cook. We all gotta let him cook. Who's gonna stop him? If he's taking out
I'm not getting his path.
If he's taking out Peterbot and Booga 1v2, who is gonna stop him?
You know what? If Trios goes around, I think I got my pick. If Trios goes around, I think I know who I'm gonna ask to try a trio with. Now Cooper's back. At first, second place is out, and guess who's now first place left in the lobby?
Wow, I'm just in awe. I am just in awe. This is not the story that we were supposed to be telling. Coming into today, everybody was thinking, oh, it's going to be either Peterbot and Booga. Oh, it's going to be Acorn or Cold. Nobody gave that team a chance of coming out of Slappy Shores. And yet they're doing it. And we'll see if they can continue to. Anyway, the game must go on.
Nawson takes down Cooper in the feed. What is this madness? This is dreams and nightmares right before our very eyes. It's Tetra Ziboxy towards the low ground, playing cool, playing patient. You know, Bryce is right on top of them along with his duo.
Of coming out of Slappy Shores.
Don't even know is there.
And yet they're doing it.
Ready to
We'll see if they can continue to.
Now under pressure. Can he go back to
the game must go on.
2v1s? He gets takes down Cooper in the feed. What is this madness? This is dreams and nightmares right before our very eyes. It's Tetra taking Ziboxy towards the low ground, playing cool, playing patient. You know,
so even higher for everybody else below. For Canada and Ages, a big opportunity to reclaim their spot. These guys were in first place at a certain point, and a couple bad games has meant they've dropped off a bit. But nevertheless, there will still be a chance. Jamper and Paper, of course, we'll be hoping. We've seen Paper a couple times now in these end games, solo clutching Jamper as well. Maybe if we can get a game with these two alive as a duo, then there'll be an opportunity for them to really start pushing the boundaries. Walkers and Vert sitting on 1-4-2 points. A big, big game for them if they could do it.
You can already see about... Okay, that's about 80 points. That's about 80 points.
Trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah. My math was a little bit shaky before, but after watching Booga and Peterbot and the downfall in this game, you got to imagine what everybody's got to be going through. Scott Script and John Valenzuela, you've seen them very, very early on in the previous games towards Shattered Slabs and these other POYs, and this time around, they don't have those early game eliminations, so they're going to have to worry about Surge sooner rather than later.
Yeah, TK and Pledge sitting in that top 10. Of course, they've got Peely's Plunder, they've got that orb winner, so if they follow the map and get that loot, they will be very prosperous after that.
Samso and Fat playing that passive game. They got their 2 eliminations, but oh my gosh, that Red Eye Assault Rifle doing a ton of damage, dropping Fats down 19 shields. We're finally getting around that cover, using the natural terrain to block some of those shots, switching seats. Teamwork making the dream work between him and Pam, and that's where he's going to be able to splash him back up. They see another fight going on in the distance, and this is where, as they continue to go around, they're now putting themselves on the slow side of zone, and the slowest at that.
And the benefits of that, right, of course, is that gives them a bit more time as they rotate in, and there typically aren't going to be as many players lurking in this area right now. If they keep on moving towards the north, though, they will run into this fight eventually. Where Slacks and Illist are facing up against Mars and his duo.
Slacks and Illist, 12th place that is left alive in the lobby right now. 76 points, with a lot of our top competitors going down early. We've already talked about it. Perfect chance for everybody really to catch up, along with Muzz, who has lost Degen yet again. Looking like a solo warrior here, trying to put down the shots, trying to get some damage. As a solo, it's very hard to gather that surge and then keep your identity as a solo hidden.
Yeah, it's always going to be a tough task, right, for anybody in that situation. And especially when you have a teammate as good as Degen, you're always going to wish you have him by your side. Nevertheless, Muzz is very capable, but it is going to be very difficult. The thing is, though, now, we do have a switch-up Jacob. Miniminer, he's a bit too busy for us now. He's big time. But instead, we've got our boy Vivid, who's going to be giving us some updates. So, Vivid, what have you got for us?
Yeah, Mini is a busy man, but somebody else that's busy is Threats. He's actually in a 1v2 situation all spawn, but he prioritizes the capture point at the POI to make sure that he gets enough loot to make this 1v2 happen. And then right there on the back foot of that, hits the clean, heavy shotgun shot, which a lot of people forget about because it's overshadowed by that Thunder shotgun sometimes, but he makes it happen. Let's see if they can carry this momentum into the end game.
That is huge for a player like Threats, to where he's been in some of the biggest stages. He's been in some of the biggest events of them all, and that's just building his confidence, saying, hey, I can do it yet again. And there's a team that needs to build up that confidence, and they've already done so right out of the gate. Over 500 above the damage threshold, Canada and Agers. That allows them the comfortability to rotate and focus on where they want to go in towards zone while trading off of the shots, building up that Storm Surge total even more.
Really impressive stuff all across the board. my goodness, Walker. Okay. It's a shame that Vert's not up in this game because this duo has been very good. And of course, we talked about how they have a chance to, you know, start bridging that gap. The chance is lessened with Walker's just being a solo. But never count him out, especially if you can hit shots like that. He needed to hit it though, right? Barely above that threshold. But it's a shame because this would have been the best game for them to both be up as a duo, doing what they've been doing all day long.
Yep. 138 points for Rokane and Joji. This was a brilliant switch up by them because during the last Elite Cup, they were just not having their best day. They were getting taken down early, third partied. It took them to about like the third or fourth game to even get on the board in terms of points. And now look at them, a total 180, 138 points, top of the leaderboard at that. Now they just need to remain consistent, just like Threats and Macwood, getting that second chance. You saw Vivid breaking down. Macwood is back. He has to thank Threats for that. So everything here is bonus because look at that, 632 because of that 2v1.
Yeah, huge plays from Threats. And that's exactly what you can expect him to do. A spectacular player when he's in his mood. And clearly in that mood today. I do want to see them get back to playing up on height in these end games, so that's where I like to see them. That's where they're most comfortable. That's where they're most effective. Edgy taking a chunk to his effective HP. Does have some minis and chug splashes though.
Jock and Qual. A lot of these teams finally making it out of the gate this time around. And that's the thing, you know as well as I do, as long as you can make it that mid to that end game, you can start to pick up, stack together those points. Okus and Noxy, 108. They got the Shockwave Hammer. They have height. They have the survey of the land, gathering that information, figure out what is that perfect rotate going to be. And honestly, because of where they're at, they can wait to that last possible moment, Shockwave Hammer to the center of the zone, and not have to worry about much. Just like John Valenzuela and Subscript. Only thing to me that they might have to worry about is if Subscript doesn't have that Shockwave Hammer. They're staggering themselves too far back. They're finally going to go, but the shots finally come in. They get peeked on by that solo player into the distance who desperately needs the surge as well.
Yeah, it's going to be super important for them. The specials, though, will give them that bit of extra lead room as they keep on making their way in. Walkers taking advantage of the fact that there is still some nice big brick rocks here for him to farm. And now he can cap off there as he keeps making his way on in. Very much on the lesser congested side of the zone, so not having to worry too much about players being around him. We'll probably have a bit of a free rotation getting in the meantime. Conti and Slam, another one of those teams, Jacob, very high up in the standings, who does stand a chance of, you know, bridging that gap between the top three.
But only 43 above. Some may not say it's much, but it's just enough to allow them to focus on the rotate, not have to force themselves into a weird spot just to get the shots. Just like Illis and Slacks, they have the high ground. They have the perfect spot to get the surge, but they still have to rotate in towards zone. Meanwhile, looking back behind, spotting that team on the high ground. Cheeky opportunity for Illis. That is going to be capitalized on him, but the return fire comes through. Illis gets tagged up. Threat spots him from the low ground. And then comes Slack to hold on to the covers. Teamwork at its finest.
Yeah, Illis and Slacks. They're going to have to start hitting some shots in fast. Macwood and Threats are building so much, so it's going to make it really awkward for them if they want to take shots. Going to have to try to sneak them in there. But Macwood and Threats are not invisible completely, right? They will still be seen at times. Oh, but Illis, you need to be careful, my friend. That is not a trade you want to be taking at all, especially when you're below. Now he's struggling to edit. The door edit comes out. When you see a door edit come out at this level of Fortnite, you know something's wrong. Still, though, trying to make their way in and still looking to pressurize Threats and Macwood.
And you can already see the Bush getting thrown down. The Bush Warrior perk trying to get him back up to 100 HP, 50 shield, 436. Threats and Macwood on the other side of that one.
The thing is, for Threats and Macwood, this is just so annoying, right? Because they're above on Surge, they don't need to be dealing damage. But now they're just burning mats, and they're sort of stuck here, right? If I was them, maybe I'd think I just tanked the zone a bit and look to run around, and I think that's exactly what they may look to do. Because right now, Illis and Slacks are just causing issues. And they're not really benefiting anything out of this other than just a depleting mat count.
It feels like anybody that takes that top spot in the lobby in terms of the leaderboard that is left alive, they immediately go down. This is literally the perfect opportunity for anybody in a non-favorable situation to try to get ahead. And you can already see, not very many teams have to say, the Shockwave Hammer is the most commonly held specific item amongst teams that placed in the top 10. It's a necessity, and you can thank Taco for telling everybody in the world that.
Yeah, look, we keep on banging on about it, but if you've been watching, if you've been playing this season, it would have been very obvious to you that that is the case. The Shockwave Hammer is so essential. You can see here, all of our teams now, the ones that do have it, will be much better off as these games progress. And a quick update, right, in terms of just who's alive, who's doing what in the lobby. Walkers did actually fall, right? He was a solo, so the top 4 in the leaderboard are all down. Big opportunity for everybody, right? We keep seeing these massive switch-ups in the standings, and it seems like it'll be another game where that could certainly happen. Illis and Slacks not looking as bad as they were a couple moments ago, but still not looking good by any means. Not where you want to see them at all.
Even after all those annoying shots on the threats in Macwood, they're still 21 below the damage threshold. Just like Gold, he has a little bit of comfortability when it comes to the surge. Not too much to worry about. Found a little bit of a supply drop. Plenty of different items to work with. Instead of using the launch pad, he's just quickly going to try to shockwave, get himself a better position, but still not in zone. Shots coming in. He becomes the focus of the lobby. Shields disappear right before our very eyes. Tries to fly high through the sky. Lives on a prayer right now. 2 HP and a dream.
The Shockwave Hammer got him out of dodge. But even in those situations where you are being lobby focused, right, you saw that he hammered, but he was just vulnerable in the sky. This is huge. Scare and Quanti. This is the team that is the next highest in the standings. This is the team that really needs to capitalize off this game. All of their top competitors are gone. But no, Scare will fall. And so Quanti now, he has to make something happen, but I don't think Naves and Aaron are going to give him a chance. They're going to keep running him down.
I think they got that loot right now. Seeing him try to run away, they're just going to take what they can. They're going to take their reward here and continue on with the rest of their game. There's no use in chasing. They already have a beautiful box set up here on the side of the mountain. They already have the storm surge necessary that they don't have to worry about it. They could just sit comfortably, let the rest of the game play out as Skittle towards the top, ABN as well. This is a must be in position for these guys. They must be able to capitalize on it. 823 above the damage threshold. All they need to do now is execute.
This is them playing a different version of Fortnite, right? This is the new 2D edition. They are having that bird's eye view. They see all in the lobby, sitting at the very peak of that mountain. And what a view it provides. For Canada and Ages though, this is massive. One of those other teams who will certainly hope to capitalize. One of the few remaining teams that is high up in the standings that is looking somewhat together as a duo and not looking scuffed. Rokane, another game where he's not looking too good. Joji is down and he's just now med missing in zone, waiting for Spade and Chimp to leave him alone.
So many different layers to this next zone. Goes up to the highest point in the mountain, all the way down to the lowest point at the bottom of the mountain. Picking and choosing where you're going to be here is going to be important as Rokane trying to get into the zone. 160 points. The opportunity, he has it in his grasp. He just needs to be able to hold on to it. You can see just how different this POI is, and it's going to go drastically down Brutal Bastion, but luckily for them, there's not too many different cascading layers that they have to go through.
Yeah, and that's very good for the teams who were down beneath that hill. If the zone had pulled the other way and you had to go up that hill, it would have been awful. And this is awful. Ages has fallen, but fortunately Canada was able to trade, and so the revive will come off. The game is not all lost. Chimp and Spades don't seem to have an idea at all. Quanti, though, as much as he is a solo, he's not completely out of this game. Still looking strong.
17 splashes. He can definitely stagger himself back, wait for the zone to pull, and try to get there any way he can. But without the shockwave, his options are definitely going to be limited. Jamper and Paper, you can see the impulses going out. Anything is better than nothing. 3 different shield fish, some minis, and you can already see what's going to be used. Soaring sprints for Jamper, and Paper's there close by. They're trying to stay ahead of the zone. They don't want to go ultimate low ground just yet because they don't want to get caught in all that chaos and commotion.
But there are a bunch of old builds that people can use to recycle. This game is certainly a stack of Rokane. That's it, a big shot, but it's too much for him to handle. Canada and Ages they might be looking to go on the offensive. They certainly would benefit from a refresh. The materials aren't looking too strong. The hammer will allow them to move forward in the zone. Fretz and Macwood just trying to create as much space as possible. Very, very tight quarters right now. Plenty of hungry players around them. And those chug splashes may go a very, very long way. Aaron and Naves, you've seen how much of a thorn in the side they can be for any team that walks into their path. The hammer just plowing through all those builds, moving him to the front of the zone. And now they're sitting comfortable.
I keep thinking this is just probably has to be at the top of my list. The favorite teams to watch perform. Jamper and Paper looking down, getting the shot. Somebody sneaks in their box. That's going to be Kanata. He's able to take down Paper. 1v1 against Jamper, but shots also coming in from the side. Kanata trying to take advantage. Dropped down to 8 HP. Danger Hero showing its true form. HP going up. The speed boost going to be able to get Kanata out. Perfect plays between the two to try to take that position at the top of the leaderboard.
I am shook to my core. How is Kanata still alive? Will he stay alive though is the question. He will. Unfortunately, Aegis is down. Kanata needs to go ballistic, but we know he can. Danger Hero once again coming in clutch. He needs to keep on moving into his zone. Can he take out Spain? He can! Kanata doing what Kanata does best. He's still in this game. 24 HP. Will he get another big shot? Lurking out in the zone. The med missile getting back up. There are players, there are opportunities, there are shots to be hit. It's just about connecting with them.
And with no more shields, Danger Hero cannot be activated anymore because the shields will not be able to be cracked. 2 different shockwave hammers though, plenty of options, plenty of mobility to go up and over and leapfrog the rest of the competition, but he's looking for a refresh. He's looking for something to scavenge right now as everybody breaks out and breaks through the box. He's gonna go ahead and catch somebody slipping here. The moment is coming.
The minis might just be his saving grace. No, he gets caught out. For a moment he thought he had a second of cool, but he does not. ABN up on height. It looks like Fretz has dropped all the way down. And so he's going to be easy pickings for Edgy, who certainly did need that. Those builds will go a very, very long way as he places house of solo. Nelson will pick one up onto M-Pen. And so we're seeing players fall left, right, and center in this game. Still plenty more to be played.
Yep, into the top 7 we go. Bylaw's going to be by himself, but that's no worry for him. Chopping down high, bringing Nastin and Flo down to his level. Edgy trying to go ahead and find himself a crevice to work with. That way he could try to survive. Doing wonders throughout the first 3 games. They had 10 points. They've gotten over 100 points since then. Can they keep this momentum going as Macwood drops down to ultimate low ground? No build to his name, but he turns and burns. Takes out Bylaw before falling himself.
Going out with a bang. That's how Macwood likes to do it. Nevertheless, Aaron and Naves will continue the journey. You can see up above, height, really not having many issues here. But everybody's struggling. Down below, players in your face. You gotta hit a big shot. You gotta come in clutch. And unfortunately, some players just can't hack it.
The gap continues to close between everybody on the leaderboard. Low ground, Nas and Flo, Edgy by himself. Him and Miro trying to go ahead, but Warrior takes him down. Warrior and ABN versus Nastin and Flo. 2v2 for the game.
Who is going to connect with the big shot? Both teams somewhat evenly matched, but the zone is not in their favor at all. It's going to pull upwards. And so Nastin, they need to try to chop them out. They need to do something big because if ABN and Warrior just hold on, you certainly think they could win this game. It is going to go just around. And so both teams going to have a moment where they can just stay cool, not going to fight each other. Just stay cool, breathe, take a moment.
That's a blessing in disguise because down low, I do believe I saw a ton of builds, a ton of resources to work with. And if they can make it over, they could probably zip line up. The options are theirs right now, and this one is going to take some time to settle. It's going to allow for Warrior and ABN to get any bit of resources up there, but it looks like they're almost fleshed out. There's barely anything to work with.
They need to get down, though. They don't have the mats, and so a hammer to push themselves into the zone. They now need to make sure they glide their way back on in. Can they hit the big shots necessary? I think the Flow realizes, though, that they are just above, and so not going to be able to do it. A trade, though, and so ABN now in a 1v1 against Nossen, who will come out on top. Nossen has the med kit, and I think he's going to go for it now. He's just going to hold on. I don't think ABN realizes he's going for the heal off. He's trying to weigh it on out. I don't know what heals he has, though, and so it looks like Nossen might get the med kit off and just win out the whole thing. But will he be able to? ABN's still going. He's not taking damage to the storm. He's not getting ticked off at all. And so Nossen, unless he finds some sort of heals now, it's not going to happen. Are they going to collide? Who's it going to be? ABN dropping down, trying to use the hammer. Will he hit the shot? He connects, but not enough. They need to connect now. He needs to push on through. He needs to hit it. Time is ticking. No! ABN will fall. Nossen was just a moment away from being taken out as well, but just able to hold on. The medkit play was huge, Jacob.
That was executed to perfection. Take a picture, because I don't think you'll see something like that in a very long time. They're separated due to the natural terrain. And you think it's all over, high ground versus low, but the perfect med kit and then the 2 different med myths. Nasen had this one in the bag.
Wow. The med kit play, nerves of steel to hold on, right? Because if ABN had peaked, he was a sitting duck. Nevertheless, holding on, Nasen and Flo will take game 4.
But let's continue on with the story. From the beginning of the game till now, all of our top competitors going down and out, eliminated. That tosses the leaderboard into chaos.
Yeah, we honestly can't keep track of it. How could we possibly? So we're going to send it to the analysts. They're going to break it all down.
Thank you guys so much. Man, game number 4, the story of the top 3 going down means everyone else has breathing room. And my, oh my, quite the shakeup. Really quickly, let me introduce Mini Miner and, of course, our very special guest, Jenny Smiles. Welcome. It's great to have you guys here.
Thank you.
That game was wild.
That was absolutely an insane game. To see the top 3 teams go down before the first zone is absolutely crazy. Hide and seek coming in there and eliminating Bugha and Peterbot. Mind-blowing.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. But of course, that opened the door for some of our teams that were a little bit lower down. Canada and Aegis coming into this game. They were in 6th place, and they had a really, really solid game, but unfortunately couldn't quite make it right there to the end. Zeke, solid performance, though, from these guys.
And again, you know, Aegis and Canada had amazing Storm Surge previously, so going into this, they're really comfortable endgame. It just looked like they were going to be fine. And Canada did stay alive for a lot longer than we even expected as a solo player in endgame.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. We talk so often about Aegis' solo clutches. We've seen it throughout the Elite Cups, throughout the qualifiers this season, even previous seasons. We've seen Aegis clutching up, but now it's time for Canada to take the step and take the play for the solo clutches. He did it incredibly here. And even, Zeke, the Danger Hero Augment coming in clutch.
Yes, that is true. I was going to pinpoint on the amount of eliminations he was able to get and the confidence he just had as a solo player is crazy. I loved it.
Oh, there he is.
I love it.
Yeah, he's got to feel really great because, again, you don't have to get a victory out. You're just looking for consistency, right? And by himself, he does put up those numbers. We relook at our standings. Remember, we only have 2 games left here in week number 1. For Peterbot and Bugha, they're looking pretty good, right? All things considered, even falling early, they had enough of a buffer that they're still looking good.
Oh, yeah. Peterbot did an amazing job off spawn for sure. It was just unfortunate, you know, hide and seek.
Yeah.
He got, I don't want to say he got lucky, but I mean, a 2v1 and just completely eliminating one of, I would say, the top teams right now it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And we saw the confidence from Peterbot as we expected, but we almost saw a little bit of overconfidence, right? When Hide and Seek took out Bugha and Peterbot, we saw Bugha and Peterbot get a little bit too greedy for that elimination, and they ended up sort of just jumping in the box one by one. And when that happens, you isolate each player, and of course, Hide and Seek, you just take them both out. Not the greatest game for them, but they're still on top. I'm sure they'll be fine.
And I think another big thing to point out here is Floe and Nasen, right? Jumping up to 20 place, it's absolutely insane. And of course, for Warrior here in ABN, you just need one good game, right? These games and the way the point system works, it's very fluid. And a lot of these duos, when they saw the top 3 go down, they're like, oh, wow, the game is wide open.
Yeah, Warrior here, oh my gosh, taking that risk and jump into low ground, even though he had the augment, yeah, he could still fly. He just wasn't able to, you know, he wasn't able to pull through and actually get that elimination, which left his teammates trying to do it, and he wasn't able to either, unfortunately, even though they had high ground initially, which is usually more, you know, more so gonna take over.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we want to touch on Storm Surge really quickly, okay? Because, again, it's just, remember, there's a lot of adapting that takes place when you watch these competitive style games, right? With a brand new season, new weapons, loadouts, and then knowing, okay, if this is a year thing, a global championship, how are we going to look to adapt? And so how is this all happening?
Yeah, so you have Joji taking a little bit of height, you know, just, I mean, I wouldn't say like height necessarily, but, you know, a little bit of an angle here with his build, and then you have his teammate below with using Bush Warrior, so he can still hold health, but getting different angles below, so they were able to get a little tags before Storm Surge.
Yeah, it's a really great point because, of course, they're able to use the natural elevation that these sort of snowy areas have, right? We have so many of these little sort of mountains, even hills in this area that just give them that elevation, and they were able to use the sort of ravines that the players were sort of ravining through, you know, they're sort of rotating through there, and they're just getting funneled right into Joji and Rokane, and they're just like, you know what, we'll just take this. Tag, tag, tag. There you go. Easy Storm Surge for them. It was like a farm. It was great.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm just enjoying all of the action here coming out of the competition. This is just week 1. Just think, like, there's still so much time for these players to develop their skill set, to develop the way we are going to look at the meta in the coming weeks. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all that transpires. With 2 games left, is there anything you guys are looking forward to seeing?
I'm just looking forward to seeing these players compete because they are this good. So I want to just get pumped up, and I want to see some of those top players perform like we know they can.
Yeah.
Will Booger and Peaceball hold on? Will Canada and Aegis catch up? We'll have to wait and see, Zeke.
Bro, they can't make that mistake again, right? They just can't. But we're getting word it is game time. With 2 games left, who will be at the top after week number 1? Let's find out.
We're at the penultimate game. Just 2 more remaining. Who will do it? We're just going to hop right in, it seems, Jacob.
Yeah, I love it. Just no wasting any time. We saw the action unfold there in that last game. Opportunity struck. A lot of teams risen to the top of the leaderboard with our top contenders going down. And with that in mind, this has been one of the weirdest FNCS qualifiers because this has been the most FNCS champions in the bottom 10 of the leaderboard, which goes to show that this is also the most newcomers towards the top of the leaderboard. It goes to show that roster changes worked out perfectly.
Yeah, certainly a lot going on. And the continuation of some of the stories we've been following throughout the day. Yomzo and Rise, this time we're tuning in and one of them isn't down, which is a good start, but we'll see if they can win this fight. It's not been the best of days for them. They started off so hot and then cooled off very, very fast and have stayed cool, ice cold, if anything, for the past 3 games. But a chance now maybe to get back in this one.
Something you don't see very often. Falcon Scout being used to try to figure out where exactly these players are. Probably getting the scan much longer at battle this time around than the last one, but you got to take note. That 109 points came in game number 1. One swift effort. They could do it again. If they imagine back-to-back victory royales, just like Booga and Peterbot in the final 2 games, they could be within reach.
Yeah, if I know Yomzo, which I do, I know that he will be very, very ready to go out and just win the game. If they can just, beat this one hurdle they've been tripping over the past 3 games, it would not surprise me at all. It would be the perfect story, wouldn't it? For them to just finally win off spawn and then go out and win a game.
Falcon Scout versus Falcon Scout. Hey, this could be that recipe right now because all they need, you know as well as I do, whether they're getting the eliminations and the surge right out of the gate or just taking a while, playing that long, slow game plan. The Yomzo and Rise have the ability, they have the attributes to play any style of game that they do want. And you can see Rise from Excalibur Rifle back to the Falcon Scout trying to scan, make sure he knows where his opponent's at every step of the way because him and Yomzo right now, that little bit of separation might just be enough.
Using it now to actually go about and figure out where exactly they are as Yomzo sits above here. And now they've figured it out. What a shot. The heavy is perfect for those kind of situations. That angle lined up perfectly. And now, maybe looking to go on the hunt. Moo is incredibly low. They need to keep on putting on that pressure. It doesn't seem like Moo is ready for it by any means.
Another scan going out. Rise just using that one actually pretty well. Thinking outside of the box, a little bit of an unorthodox strategy. Probably showing everybody how to really utilize some of these new items here in the game. Splash and making sure him and Yomzo have tip-top shape here, ready for the next fight, the one that's inevitable, but the team sneaking up slowly but surely, trying to third-party this mix, and this is their opportunity too, depending on where you're on the leaderboard. Claps and Xenos might be down. They might need these elimination points just as well as Yomzo and Rise.
Yeah, they're going to just sit there and wait, right? When they start to hear both of these 2 teams fighting, that will be the trigger for them to push in. And if they can capitalize, it certainly will be great. I love this though. This is exactly what you want to see the Falcon Scout doing. Using it to just, deliver you some nice little materials or whether it be loot. Sorry. And bringing that shotgun there, they definitely would need that ammo. And then upgrading the heavy shotgun is never too bad. Again, it's not something you see too often.
No, but they actually are using it to perfection from both the scans to gathering the loot that is out towards the outskirts, but you can kind of see already on the leaderboard from one game to the next, Xset and Dubs struggles do continue, but at least they're still towards the top side of the leaderboard and they can still make magic happen in the last and final game.
Yeah, it's never going to be over until it's over, I guess, until game 6 rolls off, and then we just wait until next week.
I don't want to wait till next week.
Want to go again and again and again. Well, fortunately, there will be EU tomorrow, so be sure to check in for that. As this game continues, you can see Baila picking up Aaron now.
That's going to be a big elimination, but we can't see everything. We already said that. We got pieces here and there, but we use these replays of Pamsu and Fast to try to put together this puzzle. And there goes Dubs. He's out. Accept is out as well. Pamsu and Fatch, 118 points to really start this game off. And they started against one of the best. It's Clicks and Donnie doing the same thing. Aggression right out of the gate, trying to put that pressure on to Polarize. Taken away piece by piece. He's trying to get out. Shockwave Hammer is going to allow him to escape with just a sliver of HP.
They have a Shockwave Hammer themselves. I'm surprised Clicks didn't instantly push in, but I guess staying patient is something you do like to see from this duo, because at the end of the day, they are better as two than just the one. And once again, Polarize trying to get out of dodge, but he can run. He will never hide from these two when they are in this kind of mood. Both eliminations. And so now, an opportunity. Oh, this is so messy. Look at this. 4 of the better teams in the lobby right now, all here at Slappy Shores.
Dawson and Flo sneaking around. The most eliminations in a single game with 12 with their victory in game number 4. Floating around, just waiting for somebody. And honestly, if you can kind of spot out the teams that are kind of not having the best day over towards Slappy Shores, and you're not having the best situation, hey, that could be a play. You rotate on over, you try to take over, but Cooper was pushed out. Acorn and Cole trying to follow, and they are so low on the leaderboard, they have to get these eliminations.
Yeah, be it Peterbot and Booger. Their main role in this battle is to try and third party once the teams are fighting, and so since they realize that's not happening, they're going to disengage a bit. Hide and Seek and Cooper are trying to disengage to the shoreline, and Acorn and Cold want to follow them. They want to chase them. Clearly, this is getting personal now. And so Nossen and Flo, they're just going to wait in the wings for this fight to break out. Still won't stop Peterbot and Booger from just taking shots from afar, making it awkward, encouraging them to just get the fight going. But I literally, this is so messy. 4 duos here right now. 3 of them are in our top 10. This is one of the most important battles that we're going to see, not just in this game, but in all of the 6 games today.
Yeah, and the thing is that I don't even know if they know Nossen and Flo is there.
No, they don't.
So this could be a perfect cleanup opportunity. And they know, just because of the POI, the drop maps, that Boog and Peterbot got to be somewhere nearby, even if they don't see them. And that's exactly why you see their little arrows spinning around, trying to reposition themselves to a more advantageous position, as Acorn just hiding in that bush still. You don't know exactly where he's at, even if you know he's in there. Mega's going to go down. That's going to be a 2v1 as Quad takes down Justice as well. Maybe a little bit of help from Jock.
Maybe a little. Just a tiny bit. Any help will always be accepted.
Zone's not too far away, so they in theory, they could take a lot of time.
It is a bit of a stalemate though, right? At the moment, you can see nobody really making any plays. And as they all just sit here, it doesn't really benefit anybody. In Booger and Peterbot's case, they can just sit here and farm. There's plenty of metal that they'll be able to get. They don't necessarily need to push up and take the bridge. Already, look, Booger already maxed Matt, so hey, look. They literally, you know, are fine in that aspect.
Wow. Just the 3rd duo in NA East with back-to-back victory royales during qualifiers. And they're a new duo. They haven't even reached their peak form, I don't think. I know there's plenty of FNCS this time around to kind of see them really take form, really come online to their full potential. As Okus is there, Rokane, Joji. We talked about how slow this one is going to be. They're just so far into the storm. Luckily for them, though, the zone is not too far behind. So no matter what happens here, win or lose, draw even, they don't have to waste much time getting into the zones where they can start regenerate health. But Cooper has no HP heals on him, so he has to figure out what he's going to do right now.
Cooper. It's going to be now or never. He knows there's a player waiting for him in the bush. But that is not the trade he would have wanted. Of course, Danger Hero is the augment he has, which is why he started taking that Med Mist effect as his shields were cracked. And that's going to be good in terms of, you know, maybe if time starts ticking, they ain't got the white HP, he'll just peek a little bit, take a crack, and then get the Med Mist to put him back up. That would be the best way to stay alive in this situation, funnily enough.
I was thinking that same thing. I doubt that was intentional, but nonetheless, taking advantage, really utilizing every bit of the augments to try to get that HP back up. Braids, who took out both Yamzo and Rise 2 different times, fighting for it here now with Moo already down. 1v1 situation between him and Claps. If he can go ahead and finish this one quick, there's an opportunity for Moo to get back into the game with a reboot. His opponent trying to hide in the cone. Clap's going to get spotted out. Braids with the aggression, but slowing down just enough so he could reload and put himself back into a great spot. This is going to be huge as Claps is just trying to find some stability towards the low ground. Chubb's coming in from the outskirts. Braid's not slowing down. He's already fought with the best of them, took him down, and now he's looking to take down one more. But the longer he takes, the harder it's going to be for him.
Yeah, this is one of those fights that's clearly been long and drawn out. The third party in this whole engagement was the Omzo and Rise. Those guys are still alive in this game, so I'm sure they were able to just get out, but it's not looking good for the remaining fragments of these teams. And now turning into a classic build fight here. Clap trying to mantle his way on up. And Braids will hit a nice shot there to counter it. And then cleaning things up swiftly. Claps was out of materials. Braids just had enough left in the tank to keep him in.
Yeah, he needed to go ahead and pounce on that one quick. I heard the Danger Hero pop off. He was regenerating HP, trying to use his minis. Scare. Quanti, 158 points, trying to rotate as quick as possible. We got a little bit of a north zone this time around. So that southern portion of the actual zone is going to be a little bit congested. Back on over towards Slappy Shores, where they're probably trying to regenerate as much health with the slap barrels that are all around. But Cold takes a big shot, forced to back down. Danger Hero playing another role. Cooper trying to go ahead and use that Shockwave Hammer to take a little bit of height, but he gets shut down as well. Everybody's sporting the Danger Hero perk right now, except for Acorn, and that might have been just it. That causes him to go down, and another 2v1 opportunity for hide and seek Cooper.
Yeah, this fight was bound to break out at some point, and eventually everything just sort of exploded into what is this fight we have here. In another instance where it looks like Acorn and Cold are just no match for Cooper and hide and seek. Cold is one of the most insane players I've ever watched, but I think this might be too difficult for him. If he was to pull this off, he'd be one of the better players we've seen all weekend long. Hold on a minute, let's not speak too soon. He's solo HP, but he's hitting big shots to counter, and another big one. That is again an opportunity for Cold. Will he do it? He's actually really making this awkward and difficult for them. Any other player would have been down ages ago, but he is making it work. But no, he will fall. Cold, almost taking our breaths away.
He ran out of options. He had one shot left in the Thunder. It was all or nothing there. And it's going to be a great opportunity to see a lot of these teams really rise to the occasion.
For sure. And that is what everybody will be looking to do, stepping up their game in these moments. Canada here, looking for Surge. We're going to hit some nice shots there on Bugha. Not too shabby, if I say so myself. Of course, Bugha and Peterbot are still up, right? So they were involved in that whole altercation over at Slappy, but they got out and they're still in this game. Jamper and Paper still up as well, just in that top 10 and looking to rise as much as they can.
DJ and Muzz. One of the first times we're seeing them as a complete duo, really trying to take advantage, but realizing I don't want to bite off more than I can chew in this situation. Let's try to get out, trying to spot another team, but they become the focus as well. Got a little too tunnel vision. They're going to pay the price. Now the pressure is on, especially since Illis is below the damage threshold. He needs these shots. Another one's going to be landed. Jamper and Paper as well. They're trying to find anything to work with. Find themselves a little bit of that zone to where they get inside, no longer taking too much damage as they continue to pressure and hold another team out.
Yeah, that's real tough. I'm not sure if Paper has a hammer. I don't think he does, because if he did, it'd be perfect for them to just try and hammer their way into zone. But where they are now, it's going to be so awkward. Players already sitting in zone, players to either side of them as they try to rotate in here. Bush Warrior will allow themselves to get up in HP just a bit. Look at all this mess going on. Oh my goodness. This is what happens in some of the last games, right? The lobby starts to divulge into madness. And in this case, it's Slacks and Illis who are in the thick of it. Slacks can't hack it with Pump and Trashy on his case. And they'll clean things up here. Just for a moment as they take out Degen. Illis still lurking.
One fight to the next, not giving up. And they need this. They were down below at one point or another. Trashy and Pump, almost 1,000 basically at that point. Before it went away, they were about 900. You got to imagine just a little bit more. Topped them up and over. Bugha and Peterbot trying to come out with revenge here in this next game. Going down very, very early on in that last 2v1 from hide and seek. He's no longer in that lobby position anymore. So now Bugha and Peterbot trying to take back what's theirs.
If I know Bugha and Peterbot, I will know that they will not be happy about being made to look like fools in that last game. They will be very, very interested in doing what they've done so well today, picking up victory royales, already 2 on the day for that duo, and looking to get their 3rd.
User and Duke have a little bit of that high ground position on the side of the mountain. And the thing is, they know that at least their backs are safe because of that natural terrain. Hide and seek. Yeah, you said it yourself. Peterbot getting revenge. I said he was going to take back what's theirs, and that was the loot from Slappy Shores.
Wow. Hide and seek this time round is not able to do what he was able to do before. No remontada today. Peterbot will deal with him appropriately. And now they can make their way into the zone. Yomzo there gliding his way on in. Good to see him still up in this game. Kanada and Aegis though, positioned incredibly well. Not able to connect to shots, which is something we don't say about them too often. You see Kanada's clearly locked in, but just about missing.
This is looking like it could be one scary endgame. I know we're on 3rd zone right now, but looking at where it's landing over towards the north, the possibility of the different terrains up and down the mountain. So where you play these next couple of zones is going to be important. How many builds that you have is going to be huge for a lot of these players. As Peterbot and Bugha getting pressure to the outside, Agers is going to be able to lend that helping hand. Peterbot was cleaned up. Now it's all up to Bugha. First place has a chance of going down yet again, and it strikes. Kanada and Agers now have a chance here to take over.
Kanada and Agers, this is their time, this is their game, this is their opportunity. But will they capitalize? We saw Kanada hitting crazy shots as he does. But this will definitely be the time to do it. All over again. Bugha and Peterbot are out once again, way earlier than you'd expect. And they're gonna have to hit the drawing board before that last game. Rokane and Joji have been super impressive, playing this game out very methodically. And now they find themselves in a good position. Rokane almost getting caught out there for a second. And I'm sure now he'll be much... Wow. What a find.
Now you see why Rapid is trying to hold on to that spot, not let them get the loot. Even if he can't hold it himself, you still don't want to let that go around to the rest of the lobby.
And look, the implications of that find for Rokane and Joji to just pick up 2 hammers there, that is game-changing. These guys are now major, major players in this lobby. A blessing from the Fortnite gods, it seems.
Especially since I was talking about where the zone's going to end. This one is definitely going to be a roller coaster of emotions and literally a roller coaster up and down the different terrains. So where you really do position yourself, how many mats, all that's going to be important, including the damage for Storm Surge, 121 below the threshold, but instantly popping themselves back up. You got to imagine somebody probably going down, only 20, not too much to worry about, just like Edgy and Miro, not too much to worry about, getting height, getting themselves a great position. So no matter they're this one pools, they can survey, they can look, gather all the information before they make their next move.
And the move it is, he'll have to make. Clicks, still in this one. And he's not a happy bunny because Donnie is down. So he's getting uber aggressive. And understandably, he's actually going to just try to get in here, dodging the window, picking up the wall himself and opening it up. Clicks looking like his best self. A very, very cheeky elimination. And he'll be able to hammer himself out, dropping down as well. He could have picked up the loot, but looking to just focus on getting to zone. And I see why. There are so many players in this area. It's going to be tough for him if he doesn't.
Unfortunate, not able to really grab any of that loot for all of his efforts. Plenty of damage when it comes to Storm Surge staying above. But hot on his heels, it's going to be Kanada and Agers. They know when somebody's a solo, you got to strike while the iron top before the rest of the lobby gets to him as well. Clicks taking shots from all of the directions. He comes to focus of the lobby, trying to hold on to his walls. That's not going to stop 2 of the most aggressive players in the game. But Clicks doing a good job of fighting back, not going down just yet, even taking down the shields of Kanada.
Clicks is one of the only players in the world that can escape a box-to-box situation like that from Kanada. Almost any other player in this lobby, you would have expected them to be right back to the home screen. But nevertheless, Clicks gets out somehow, and he's still in this one. What a moment for Clicks. Just 1 build left, though.
So let's say having to expend so many mats, so many resources. Last charge onto the shockwave, but he gets another one. Ooh, man, though, did that help him so much? Because now he's on the slower side of zone for now, but the shockwaves are coming in. The duo's closing the gap. anything that he can find now could be a huge success, depending on what augments he actually has.
He's going to try farm here, and that's probably the best play because he needs something to protect himself with. And if he keeps going north, there's not going to be many people really that can have their eyes on him. But I am... Oh, no, Empen following. So he has to keep track of the guy just behind him. But Click still being alive in this game is a big shock to me for sure.
And depending on whether or not Empen's actually a solo, I can see a world where that low, that separated from everybody else, that could be an opportunity for Clicks to take in a 1v1 situation with a much-needed refresh. Trashy and Pump, though, finding their stride late into this one, but better late than never. 9 splashes, Shockwave Hammer, plenty of builds to work with, probably waiting for the next zone, see where it's going to be at, and maybe they can grab that front side and grab height.
And Trashy, as his eyes set on Cease all the way down there, playing with Tragics. We've not seen much from them today, but certainly a duo that can make things happen. Clicks was making things happen, but Empen was the one to take him out. Canada and Aegis, though, this is their game, this is their moment. With Peterbot and Booga down, can they take first place? Can they pop off? Have the kind of game as a duo we know they can. Hamster and Thatch looking good. Going to be able to profit there from some of the loot. And that should go a long way as this zone will pull towards the north.
Short the victory there. Hamster and Thatch immediately took out that solo. Yamzo and Rise trying to stay ahead of the zone. Zeus and Tragics trying to do that same thing. Igna's there as well, but along with everybody else is going to be TK and Pledge. 124. They're at least within reach. If they can get a couple eliminations here, not forcing it, a victory royale in back-to-back games, they could possibly take a top spot here, along with Pamsu and Fast with 146. Trying to get ahead of the zone, trying to go around everybody else. You don't want to get caught in the mix, just like Igna getting caught in the sky with the Shockwave Hammer. Not what we want to see as they both go down together.
As powerful as the hammer is, when you are such low HP, you just leave yourself exposed to teams. And that's exactly what we see there. But if you are strong like Nosson and Flo are, it is brilliant for just getting yourself in, giving yourself that room. Canada and Aegis, they're hungry though. They're looking for refreshes. When they're doing that, this is one of the perfect places to do that. They see these two teams fighting, and so they look to get involved, almost connecting with something big there, but still on the hunt. Pump though, up on height. And what can they do this game? Trashy. They're going to be exchanging builds, swapping that all around, keeping their eyes though on players in the backside of the zone. Cease might get caught out. Very fortunate to still be alive.
Putting it lightly, especially with how aggressive the lobby is.
Oh, look at these guys.
He's finally going down. Kanata and Agers right there on the cusp, being able to take first place away from Booga. Peterbot, but slammed to the outside of zone. Kanata into the wrong box. He goes down. It's all up to Agers here to have a clutch for the Ages. Just a few more points to take over that first place spot.
What have I just seen? I can't believe my eyes. There's no way that should have happened. Kanata will be fuming, raging, pulsing at how that has just turned around. Everything was looking so perfect, so brilliant. The hammer shockwaves him right into the wrong box. The game must go on though. Aegis has to try and fight, and that's exactly what he'll do. He'll pick up TK, and I'm sure he'll look to do much more than just that. Needs to hit something though in the backside of the zone as a solo without many mats. It's always a vulnerable position. Nosson will fall, and so players left, right, and center struggling here it seems.
That's User and Duke towards the low ground. 4 eliminations, but Duke taking too much damage. He gets chopped down. Zone pulling back.
Wow.
They reuse their same builds, not having a shockwave just yet, buying themselves more time. User trying to get to the front side of zone. Only a few builds to work with. Trying to look back. He can find anything but rises down. So that knows that Yamzo is now a solo, trying to come up big. But if there's anybody I want my team as a solo, it's definitely Yamzo.
Aegis is doing a brilliant job right now though. As a solo, he's picked up all their limbs. We've been talking so much about Canada's brilliance today, but right now it's Aegis carrying the team on his back and looking to keep it moving. You can see the players are running out of mats, and when you run out of mats, there's only one way for you to go. That's back to the lobby. Aegis, another one.
A huge find for Aegis. Trying to break through the covers. No real builds to work with. Danger Hero getting his HP up. As Yamzo is trying to look for more eliminations. He has 5 as a solo, 6 as a team, 173 points. Trying to make up for lost time as Aegis bounces to the front side of zone, using the little bit of mats he has left, finds a quick shot. That's going to take down another one. A huge find for Aegis as he takes down Sustrip and getting just enough mats to work with.
He can't keep getting away with this. There is no reason why Aegis as a solo should be causing this much damage to everyone else in the lobby. He might just find the Omzo in a moment if he's patient enough. He keeps it going, they're running low on builds into another big shot having to be connected. Fatch might be on the receiving end of that. Will he be? No, Aegis finally falls. Fatch though, keeping it going. And him and Pamstu are looking mighty fine, but with the zone pulling up the hill, Trashy and Pump in a perfect position to take them out. And it looks like that's exactly what they will do. Pamstu falls, Fatch is following. ABN now is a remaining player in the game. And it looks like Trashy and Pump will be able to take him out. Time is ticking. The Hammer player will come out, but you've got to think he can't hold on for much longer. No, he will not. Pump and Trashy take game 5.
They have so many teams that took that 5th game as an opportunity to kind of make up for that lost time. Yamzo and Rise, and then Trashy and Pump. A huge amount of eliminations, a huge amount of aggression paying off for them to take that game and put themselves in position to get as many series points as possible.
I think when you look at the way the games have played out today, Jacob, I don't think there's a team that might have had an easier win. These guys were chilling, big chilling up on height. They were coasting, legs kicked up, and in the final moments, the zone pulled right in their favor, and it allows them to win the game, and that's going to be huge for them as they rise in the standings.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that zone go towards the north side of the map, just like a couple of games before, it's literally a roller coaster of emotions, how you pick and choose not only your spot, but your resources and how you're going to rotate. Truly dictated how that game ended, and Trashy and Rise, they stayed at the top of the mountain through and through, were able to kind of recycle a lot of the resources to claim that top spot.
Hey, look, big game for Trashy and Pump there, but as we get ready for game 6, a big one, a lot on the line, we're going to send it to the analysts to get us ready.
Game number 5 was a nail-biter. The games do not ever disappoint here in NA East. We are happy to be back with y'all and seeing some amazing gameplay. With one game left to go, I feel like there's quite a bit of expectations on a lot of these players.
So many expectations, and a lot of questions that we had of these teams and these players have been answered so far, but of course it's not the end yet, especially for teams like Canada and Aegis, right? We saw Canada, of course, clutching up earlier on, and now it's Aegis' turn to do that. What a performance, Jim.
Yeah, Aegis was able to have this clutch endgame without Kanada's help, and the places where he was in, we were just like, how did you get out of that? He was able to escape so many situations, and that just shows you like how adaptive he is as a player.
Yeah, and this is exactly what happens when you put two strong solo players together in a duo. When it merges, it can be incredible, but when you're left alone, when you're in a less than favorable situation as Aegis was in, you can just rely on your teammate. You know, Kanada's sat back, he's chilling. I don't even think he's communicating. He's like, he'll do it. You know, Aegis will be fine, and he'll clutch up. And oh boy, did he do very, very well.
So fantastic. We can't not forget about NA East's most wholesome duo. It's Pamstu and Fatch showing up there in the end game as well. I mean, that's what I'm kind of enjoying seeing out of just week 1. We're seeing so many, like a variety of names, a variety of duos kind of show up and say, yeah, you're going to be seeing our names for a while now.
Yeah, and Pamstu and Fatch, a little interesting story about Pamstu and Fatch. Of course, they actually split because Fatch had a bit of an injury, and this is actually their first event back. They actually qualify straight back into the FNCS Major 1 here, and oh boy, are they putting on a show. This is a North Zone as well, Jenny. We've seen a lot of them today.
Yes, we actually have seen quite a few North Zones pulled and in the snow as well, which for the low ground players can definitely be very challenging. And the players that land south, you know, having to make that that run through all the terrain up to the zone. It's just crazy.
It is absolutely difficult indeed. Here is our leaderboard. So a thing to note here, this is a cumulative thing, okay? So for the next 3 weeks, we're playing a bunch of games, all right? And then after week number 3, we're looking to take our top 40 duos across a cumulative leaderboard into week 5. Everyone else, we're going to Surge Week to get that final 10. Aegis and Kanada, though, currently leading the pack. And here's what I kind of love about looking at the standings, and we can kind of see how players are kind of moving up and down the leaderboard. You look 6th through 8th, right? Look at these massive jumps. Right now, no one is safe, and we're looking to play for total number of series points. And I feel like this is a pretty strong showing, but with one game left, no one is like, you can't make a mistake right now. Not here.
No, and that's shown. Peterbot and Booga, they were in a prime position at the beginning of the day today. They've just let it slip a little bit. We saw them there going down. They got a little bit of revenge on Seek, but it wasn't quite enough. They had so much time spent inside of the fight, inside of the Slappy Shores area, that by the time they got to rotate, they were late. Everyone else was already pitched up, ready to go. And unfortunately for them, it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, it definitely didn't. In that Slap area last game too, you had a lot of top players, and it was scary there for a second. I definitely thought there was going to be some eliminations from the top players we were going to see taken out, but they made those slight rotates and they were able to maneuver their way out.
Yeah, a lot of there's been quite a bit of dynamic action. We actually have a player reaction here from this game. Let's take a look together to see how this goes.
I mean, Trashy and Pump, what a performance, right, from this duo. I mean, we're going to see the player reaction in a bit, but Pump and Trashy, one of those duos that have been popping off. And Pump's one of those players that has been up and coming for a little while. Let's wait for the reaction. We'll see it in a sec. There it is, Trashy. As you can tell,
oh, wow.
very excited. Maybe not that excited. I mean, he seems to be a little bit reserved.
Stay humble, right?
Yeah,
Humble. And the victory out. Me? It's not a big deal. But once again, we take a look. Everyone's looking quite strong. And as we kind of prepare ourselves for this last game, is there maybe a duo you guys have eyes on that you're like, hey, I just wanted these guys to do well, especially in week 1?
I mean, for me, it's Pamstone and Thatch, right? We saw them have a very, very solid performance in that last game, even when the zone was at its almost worst for this duo. This is one of those situations where they have to rotate far. We saw them using the boat earlier on as well to make that dead side rotation. I mean, of course, we look down towards the bottom half of the leaderboard as well, the top 20 here. Jenny, I'm excited to see how Trashy and Pump do. I'm excited to see so many names.
I'm so excited about Hide and Seek, too, because we've seen his performance taking out these top teams. We know what he's capable of. You know, if he makes really smart decisions with his duo, they're going to be able to compete on that high level and really make something for this. I really can see them moving up into that top 10.
So fantastic. And just think, this is just week 1 of NAE East. We're back tomorrow for action in EU. My gosh, I love the new chapter of Fortnite. I just feel like there's just so much happening, so many different ways to kind of win or kind of hit those consistency factors for a lot of these duos. I'm just excited to see how things kind of continue to evolve and develop, right? I think for me, one of the craziest things was utilizing the Storm Scout. I'm sorry, the Scout. Just sit there and just, hey, 1v1. Yeah, you're right there. Stay there.
I saw that. No, we did, didn't we? With Yomzo and Rise at the beginning, using that Storm Scout or the Scout, Falcon Scout, sorry.
Yeah, that one.
Again, that's the one. I forgot the name too. But yeah, the Falcon Scout to scout off spawn, doing very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because they only hold it at the beginning. You don't really see people holding it during endgame, but it's definitely such a great one at the beginning.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Fortnite fam, it's that time. Game number 6 here in NAE East. Let's do it.
After 5 of the most grueling games possible, I never would thought we'd make it to this point. Our 6th and final game. And thanks to all of our up-and-coming teams taking down our top competitors very, very early on in some of those games, we're in for a doozy.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun final game. It's been an incredible watch so far, and so I'm sure the players will not disappoint as we hop off the battle bus one more time for today. Who will it be to come out on top? Throughout the day, we've seen different teams at different points in the games thriving, surviving. Canada and Aegis currently hold first place. Will they be able to hold on? That will be the question. Will Peterbot and Booger finally come back into the fray? Almost a mini choke here we've seen. They were holding onto it. They were looking so good. Everything's falling apart. And who will win their off-spawn battles? Of course, we've seen Dubs and Accept go down early a couple times, and that's why they've fallen in the standings, Jacob.
This is huge. This is huge, Pam. So they're already getting one on an Accept. 1v2 situation. Dubs is down. The French-Canadian duo rises to the top here in our 6th game. A hot start for them, but an even better start for Yomzo and Rise after a bad couple of mid-games. They're making up for it in game number 5 and starting off big in game 6.
And considering how tough of a run they had in terms of going down off spawn a couple times, to see them still thriving, still pushing in that top 10, I'm super, super excited about the prospect of this team over the course of this major. And they've already picked up one. And it looks like they're going to do another. Hey, look, Jacob. I asked earlier in the day, what is Braids cooking? It don't look like he's cooking nothing right now.
Hold on. Let him cook. Let him cook. He just popped the big pot. We've seen him take down 2v1 situations before. Flying through the sky. Whizzing pass. Getting the first one knocked on the Yomzo. Siphon's going to be necessary. 21 HP, but Rise takes him down and saves the day.
Braids almost made me eat my words. I'll put my hands up. I was too quick to call it. But nevertheless, Yomzo and Rise will pull through. And that is definitely how they would have wanted to end the day, winning that battle. TK, though, will be taken out, and so it's going to be Suscript and John, who once again have a chance to keep it moving in the standings. They've been a team that have been very, very impressive so far today.
Another one of those impressive teams. First place right now. And I really think it was that momentum from yesterday, knowing that their backs were up against the wall. Danger of not even qualifying to this point. They go ahead and take it in stride as Macwood and Threats try to do the same thing, but Threats is finally knocked yet again. It's up to Macwood to try to make something happen. Splash has plenty to work with.
And we saw Macwood and Threats in a similar situation, but when it was Threats alive, he had a big solo clutch, right? And so now it's up to Macwood to do the same.
Can't do it. You see him sneaking around towards the low ground. They don't even know where the knock is at. And if they could be out of reach, they might not get the indicator of the revive going off. But Specs closing the gap, dropping down low. The inevitable is about to happen. The clash between these two teams. The lone soldier of Macwood takes a shot from the side, trying to go ahead and come back from nothing, but he goes down altogether. Their run has come to an end.
End of the day for Macwood and Threats. We've seen their highs, we've seen their lows. And unfortunately today, a couple more lows than highs. And so back to the drawing board. We'll see you next week, hopefully. The story's still yet to be written, though, for Clix and Donny. Currently sitting in 16th. Of course, Clix always going to be a fan favorite. Now a free agent looking for a new home. Definitely needs to put on the kind of performance you want to see from him. You want to see him at his best. You know how much it means. But they got to win this fight, and it's a fight that they have won a bunch of times today.
There's the flies at the picnic again. Third parting, trying to take a bite of the food. Clix trying to save it for himself. Donnie trying to get the extra angle. Excalibur shots coming in. Nut and Nosh just trying to go ahead and peek in and out of these covers. Not really let them know where the position's at. Ultimate low ground. Clix closing in on him, trying to take these pieces over. Nut knows he's there. Tries to go ahead and push right back at him. Nobody's able to find some success just yet as the shots continue to pour in.
Clix waiting patiently. We know he's comfortable in box fight situations, and so you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. Gonna get time to use that big pot as well. Donny is gonna have to start farming, getting his materials up, because he's clearly gonna need it, unfortunately. He takes a shot though. And so now that's gonna be the trigger for Nut and Nosh to go on the offensive. Donny though isn't gonna go down without a fight. And Clix now looking to get in. That's brilliant. That's exactly what you wanna see. So they're gonna take out one and make it a 2v1. Can Nosh do the impossible, it seems? We've seen some crazy 1v2s today, Jacob, but this should certainly be one of the more impressive ones. And it's not gonna happen.
Great job for Clix and Donnie. Closing it out. Even though the chances of them rising to that first place spot is slim to none, where it's all about those series points, getting yourself that spot where you don't have to go through that surge week. I know that's going to be one of the grueling ones that we're going to hear and face. But back on over this, Acorn got that knock very, very early on to hide and seek, but Peterbot and Booga playing a game of hide and seek on their own, slowly but surely closing the gap. And for them, this is about that victory. A huge shot onto the Cooper's backside, and now it's basically a 2v2, Acorn and Cold versus Peterbot and Booga.
Who will come out victorious? If you were to ask most people going into today's games to predict the best two teams, who's going to finish first and second, a lot of people would have had Peterbot and Booga and Acorn and Cold, but now these two teams are going to have to fight off here. One in third, one in 30th. Complete opposite parallels. But one thing that will stay constant, and that is Peterbot hitting big shots. Large amounts of damage being dealt here. And now a chance for him to close things out completely. Gets that wall, another shot, but he's going to trade some damage there. Booga needs to start getting involved in this one, if there's any chance.
Bush Warrior perk being used by Peterbot. Probably giving up that signal to Booga, knowing when to play passive, when not to play passive, but Kanata goes down. If Aegis is out as well, first place is up for grabs, and this fight means oh so much if that is the case. And for Acorn and Cold, the last time I really seen these guys in a straight up 2v2, it was Acorn and Cold who came out on top. Will Deja Vu strike as the pressure continues to mount up? Peterbot taking control of almost every piece above them, giving them little options to work with.
What is going on with Kanata and Aegis? That will be the big question. What we see going on here is what's been a bit of a stalemate in terms of the fight. But you've got to think somebody's going to have to close things out soon. There is a third party getting involved. I'm not sure if that's flow. We know they've liked to get involved in this fight a bunch of times to their success.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not. But either way, with another team rolling on in, it makes this way more chaotic than it needs to be. And that's what happens when you get on the bad side of Peterbot. He makes you pay. And the finish will come through now as well. A little distraction on the way to completing this one out.
Talk about perfect timing, though. They really snuck up on the Booga, dropped him down to just a sliver of HP. Peterbot turns, burns, takes out one, saving the day, putting themselves up to tip-top shape. And you can see they're not backing down just yet. They still want to take on this fight. They still want to gather these eliminations. And you can see they're putting their back to the edge of zone. So now the choice is theirs. They can disengage at any moment, or they continue to be the aggressors.
And it might look like they are going to make the option you said first and try to get out of this one. Acorn and Cold may just live to play this one out. And here we have another view of what Peterbot was able to do. Oh my goodness. I say this so many times. He just makes it look like he's warming up in creative. This is one of the hardest lobbies he would have played in all season long, and he makes it look easy, Jacob.
He boxed them up like a pizza, delivered them first class, 30 minutes or your meal's free. He said, nah, no refunds for you. Pamso and Fatch, 6th place in the lobby, left alive, 198 points, trying to shoot up as much as possible. 2 eliminations right out of the gate. A little bit of comfortability to work with in terms of Storm Surge, but they know comfortability and Storm Surge never go hand in hand. You're always worrying about it sooner or later.
Yeah, it's something you have to keep in mind. It's such a big factor in these games.
But they're still up.
Hey, look, our top 3 is all still up. We did see Canada go down in the feed. Hopefully that's nothing, you know, hopefully it was just something light and they're still looking good. If it is just Aegis as a solo though, that is where things start to get scary. But to be fair, after last game, the way he was solo clutching, we can never doubt him.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt him. I wouldn't put my money against him. My V-Bucks, nothing. You can see Warrior and ABN trying to travel their own way, working their way up the leaderboard. You can see them in a top 3 position as of now. Using as many of those mushrooms on the ground as possible. Anything so that they don't have to use any minis, big pots, or splashes. Booga and Peterbot continuing on with the aggression. Mega and Justice don't know the force that is coming at them right now. 2 of the most aggressive players in the lobby. 2 of the hottest players in this week right now. Over 123 eliminations to get to this point. You can see they've tagged on even more since then as they continue to try to find the angles, not backing down for Mega and Justice. They know that they're there, but you got to imagine this is towards faulty splits. There's a lone arrow. That's Qua. Jock went down early on. He's probably waiting for all this commotion to finish so he can get the reboot as Peterbot going in, right into the box at that, making it look easy as Justice gets dropped.
This guy's a cheat code. I've run out of...
He is a bot.
He is, isn't he?
The good kind.
I can't even, you know, describe. I've used all the words I possibly can. But what more adjectives can I use it?
He must have updated his firmware right before this one.
Yeah, clearly. But that was huge for them, right? Because they needed it. They weren't able to, you know, profit off of Slappy the way they typically would. And so a refresh was imminent.
Cold getting spotted out in the distance. 400 above, and Cold just gets chopped down in the blink of an eye. Warrior and ABN putting the necessary shots. Acorn knows I can't be the hero. I have to get out. The game is all on my shoulders. And with how they've been playing, that's a ton of pressure for Acorn to take on his own.
Awareness check for Cold. Knock, knock. Nobody answers. Cold taken out in this final game. And it's a shame because if you're watching for the first time, you might be thinking, you know, I keep hearing a lot of good things about this Cold guy, you know? And it just hasn't quite been his day. But I do assure you, they will come back. He will come back next week.
It's gonna be scary, too.
And it is going to be scary, right? It is definitely going to be scary. This is somebody who is rising to the top. At times this season, he's looked like the best player, not just in NA, but in the world. And so I'm sure we'll see better days from him throughout this major. Still though, his teammate Acorn, I keep saying Acorn.
Agers.
He's a formidable player.
2 points as a solo. And our questions from earlier on have been answered. We saw Kanata go down. We know he's back up and in better form than we last saw him as Suscript and Venezuela taking out TK and Pledge to start the game off, finding 2 more eliminations along the way. 747 above the damage threshold. Their only worry for now is making it as far into the zone as possible, setting themselves up for that sweet spot because peeking is not going to be necessary. Noxie and Okus in a rather similar position, but not as much damage. 382 as Peterbot and Bugha. The journey continues towards the low ground, just on the cusp of the zone. 920. Fight after fight. They already have 3 eliminations. They know Acorn is there, close by, trying to spot him out. And this could be an opportunity for them to strike, but they have a team above them that is going to be Duke, that is going to be User. They get into the box. Acorn's trapped in the bushes. Peterbot with that new augment again, cracking the shields, getting that 0-point ability, but choosing not to go directly in and aggress onto Acorn. Peterbot knows exactly how the situation is. They're in second place, 1,100 above the damage threshold. Now's not the time to mess around.
This is a very, very crucial moment in telling today's story. This is the moment that could change it all for them. Of course, they will need Kanata and Aegis to slip up if they are to overtake them. But nevertheless, if you can't bank on that, you still need to go all out, have their best game possible. Of course, this is what Aegis has been up to. Oh my goodness.
Wow. They just unstoppable right now. Illus and Slacks get caught on the outside of zone. Not too many other teams there, so nobody's going to be that third-party focus to try to alleviate some of that pressure. Just nightmares happening here in game number 6 for some of these teams. 33 left, 64 total players. A couple of solos running around as Warrior, Skittles trying to find what could be the slow side of the zone, and a huge change-up from the icy mountains of the last couple of games. We get a little bit of water. We get a little bit of green here.
A nice switch up, an appropriate one, considering the games we've had. Feels like the scene is very much being set. I'm sure fans will be split on who they want to see win, just like the players are splitting the map right now by that river. Which side would it fall on when it comes to the next zone? I'm sure there are players in the lobby who know if they have that forecast augment.
That's a huge bounce. And we saw them draw the positive. Scare and Quantia move all the way from 36 after game 1 all the way to 8. Constant progression, consistency through and through. As Scuffscript and John trying to put the shots on the Scare, Quanti, ABN, and Warrior. They still have a little bit of rotation to go, but trying to keep as much of the elevation as possible on their way there. Slowly but surely moving in on Omega, but I don't know if they know he's a solo. I don't know if they got that information with the high ground that they had before, but they don't want to get stuck on that low layer.
Either way, they don't have to be too overzealous here, right? They are set up really nice. Above on Surge, their loot is phenomenal. Their mats are excellent. If they can get something for free, go for it, right? But when one of your biggest competitors, Peterbot, is just a couple tiles away, you can't afford to overextend. You have to keep your cool.
I think Peterbot just wants like screen time.
He does, doesn't he?
He's either getting the eliminations in front of us or he's getting them off screen and saying, hey, I'm still doing work over here. 4 eliminations to start the game, saving Bugha's life. And guess what? We're going to figure out how he got that elimination anyway.
Look at this. Nega didn't stand a chance. Shot flying through the window. And that's going to be the end of his day. Peterbot has been brilliant. But this is the moment where champions start to be born, where you start to lay the seeds for even the bigger events to come this year. Of course, we all know that's what these players are playing for. Series points today leads to spots in the final, which leads to spots at global championships. That's all it's about.
Millions of dollars along the way and millions more to be fought at the end of the year. Plenty up for grabs for a lot of these guys, and that's why, even though you might not see these players at the top of the leaderboard, they're still trying their hardest to have a great game, because you said it yourself, the series points, where you place at the end of the day, means so much. If you qualify and go straight into the finals here for FNCS, or you have to play through Surge Week, or you have to grab a box of popcorn, pop it, and sit on the couch and watch some Fortnite with the rest of us.
I'd love to do that, but unfortunately, I'm going to be here with you. Nah, I'm just playing. It's always a pleasure to be with you. and highlight these top moments and these top plays. Suscript has been someone who we've watched make top plays all throughout today, but in the last game, all alone, doesn't have Big John with him. I'm not sure if he's going to really be able to make this work with what he's got. It's going to be so difficult.
Difficulty is the name of the game here in game number 6 with how close the leaderboard is, especially with this water zone. Just look at it already. Nobody in the center, everybody towards the outskirts, and I thought those north zones up and down the mountains was going to be a dangerous one. This one could be just as dangerous for some of these teams in the lobby, especially if it pulls over towards the north side or even the eastern, where a lot of teams are going to have to rotate across those waters.
Yeah, water zones are always super awkward. If you're not familiar with competitive Fortnite, then be ready to be amazed. If you are familiar and you've played tournaments yourself, you'll know just how difficult it can be to rotate across the water if you don't have any sort of movement. If you've got hammers, you'll probably be just about all right. If not, though, it is not good at all. Byla and Mpen wiped clean. Canada adding to his tally. Both of them now with eliminations to their names. 5 so far, and just going to continue to hold these teams in. Look at that. They ain't got to move anywhere. They just can stay there and take shots.
And you would be thinking, you know, in this situation, first place, Canada and Agers, you don't need the eliminations, right? But how many times did Peter Bot's name pop up into the feed? That is the easiest way to close the gap between these two. Sooner or later, they got to realize that and thinking that consistency is not going to be enough. I have to start picking up these eliminations. Luckily for them, they found 2 more, add their total of 5. Walkers finds 1 on a pan. Playify and Crazy get dropped down just a little bit, but they're still in zone with very little to worry about.
I'm seeing Thatch go down. And so some of our top dogs in these games are starting to fall at the wayside. Sometimes the pressure is just a bit too much. Players making their move on now, though. All those players from the east having to move to the west. And it's never going to be too easy. We've seen a couple players not able to make that jump, not able to make that move. Converting walkers. We saw them much higher in the standings today. This will be their chance to sort of push their way on up. Booga and Peterbot, though, we talked about them trying to close the gap and trying to make it into zone. No, this is not what Booga would want. Takes so much damage as he hammers, and players are still taking shots at him. If they stay alive in this one, it would be huge, but when the lobby starts to focus you, that's always going to be tough. Building up, though, just to get out of the line of sight of some of those players is key.
I feel like I'm watching Vivid's masterclass of yesterday where he was kind of letting us know when you end up in that situation, you have to take the sacrifice, use your resources, expand outward. Otherwise, you just continue to be focused. Booga showing exactly what to do. Bryce on the other side trying to hold on to those walls. The pressure is there. High ground, low ground. You even see Tahi trying to go ahead and sneak away a couple of shots. That's going to force Bryce to use a ton of mats, a ton of resources there in that situation. You see high ground on 2 different sides. Quanti and Scare has one side of that one. Booga and Peterbot have the other. And we have a southern pull, so both of those teams are going to have to reclaim it later in the game if they want to hold on to it.
Quanti will be in a favorable position compared to Peterbot and Booga at least, but they do have hammers to make a move on, and that looks like it's going to be the play for them now. ABN, though, of course, we can't forget their chances in this game. Still, all of our better teams, the top 3 is still alive and kicking. Who will it be that comes out on top?
109 points after game 1. Yam's on Rise. Really putting to work after lost time. Trying to break that 200-point mark as Vert and Walker doing the same. Not an Agers finding that perfect elimination, trying to stay in first place, get proactive like the rest of the lobby is. But they got themselves a good spot, letting the zone move forward, staggering themselves back so they can shockwave there.
And the problem is, if your team trying to catch up to these guys, they just keep getting their limbs. How can you even catch up? Booga's doing a good job picking up some of his own. But when the first place team is just on a roll like Canada's and Agers are, it is so difficult to bridge that gap.
60 limbs so far, 278, looking like they're closing in on another. That's User trying to get on out. Piece control going over. Options being limited. They know not to bite off more than they can chew. Back down. They're about 600 above the damage threshold. They don't have to continue to get aggressive. Scare and Quantity, they're going to hold on for now. Probably Shockwave, just like Yamzo and Rise, getting to the front side of zone. 371 above the damage threshold, but down goes Peter. Down goes Peter. It's all up to Booga in this situation to not only hold on to the spot, but get first place. And he only has 2 resources left.
He only has 2 builds to place. And as great as he is, that might be too tough of a task. Kanada's taken down ABN though, and so directly taking out one of his biggest competitors. And so that leaves Warrior in a situation where all he can do is go down. He cannot stay in this one. And it's Booga, all of our top 3 interacting with each other, all of them trying to fight for first place, and some of them even going down along the way. Booga, as a solo, can he do it? He's got a couple more builds now, not just working with 2, but Kanada and Aegis. They have been so relentless, so dominating, and they're doing it now again, clearing out teams on these mid-ground layers. They are looking like one of the best I've seen in a long, long time. Quantido and Scare up on height. They have a chance to move up in the standing.
They're coming into this game with a chip on their shoulder, something to prove. Same could be said for a team like this. Chimp and Spade reunited, never felt so good. 171 points, 3 eliminations. Huge shot on the backside of Chimp. He finally goes down. It's all up to Spade. Cease and Tragic towards low ground, but Spade rises to the top. Huge find on the vert before he gets taken down. But back on board, Booga. Everything on the line here. So much pressure. Weaving in and out. Shockwave and trying to get to the front side of zone. No build to work with. Spots some loot. Tries to go down for it. Not going to find anything. Can't get too greedy in this situation. But he finds one on the rise. Huge play for Booga.
He's going. He keeps it moving, but if he's not careful, he's going to quickly run into the wrecking ball that is Kanada and Aegis. They are on a tear down here. They've got control, and they're looking to clear out anybody on their layer. Cease might be next. Players camping, hiding in the water. Look like they're going to be next as well as Kanada drops in there. You've got to think it's only a matter of time. Yep, he sees Booga. He sees him. He wants to take him out. Walkers will fall. Kanada needs to be careful, though. Can't get too excited. But these 2 are just on a different level to everybody right now. For Booga to still be in this game, it's a brilliant solo performance, but just being outmatched, outmastered by the 2 players who have been on everything. Scare, still up above, but no materials.
Aegis does go down, but I think him and Kanada have done just enough. Booga gets dropped as well. Final situation, 1v2 for Kanada. This is his chance not only to take part, but take over the rest of this game. Drops down low, 1v1 situation. This could be it. 153. Kanada, tag after tag, shot after shot, even staggering himself backside of zone. A splash to work with, plenty of builds. Somehow is in full control. It's all up to Scare here with the high ground to try to make the big play. 70 HP, dropping him down to 20. He asked for a challenge, and he's ready to take it. Taking down Kanada. Scare takes game number 6.
Scare making Kanada pay. That is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, in a final 1v1 when you get too overconfident. Yes, we know Kanada and Aegis, they will hold on to first place. But in that final 1v1, I want to see Kanada win it. I don't want to see you emote him before you even win. And eventually Scare was the one to take him out. The question is, did Scare do enough? Because Scare was crazy in that game. And we have to remember, he's another player that was fighting for, these top positions. They were in the top 5. And all of these elims will go a very long way. The victory out as well. Sure, they might not get first place, but the move up in the standings will be huge for series points.
32 HP, whittle Kanada down, shot after shot. You gotta be having all the confidence in the world after that one. No matter where you land on the leaderboard, the series points have been gathered.
It's crazy to me how in so many of these games, the top teams would fall at different times and you have different people rising. In the final game, our top 3 are the top 3 in the actual match. Right? Booga falls in 3rd, then you get Kanada in 2nd, and then Scare winning the game. It has been such an interesting day, a very fun 6 games. I can't wait to do it again in NA, and of course we've got EU tomorrow as well, but for us too, it will be the end. Brilliant. We'll send it back to the analysts.
Thank you so much. 11-2K, Jacob PR. What an incredible set of matches. 6 games here in NAE for just week number 1 of Major number 1. We have way more Fortnite action coming up in the coming weeks, but let's take a look at these standings. So here it is, Aegis and Kanada showing up massive. 372 points. This is a statement.
Absolutely. I mean, they have 37 elims too. And again, there were so many instances where Adris or Kanata had to play as a solo and still was able to get those eliminations during endgame.
Yeah, they didn't even get any victory royales today, so it just shows how consistent they've been. They didn't need him. One of the most long-standing duos on the region. They were absolutely popping off last season, and they were one of those. It was a little bit of a question maybe some people would have asked. It's like, can they keep up that momentum? Can they keep doing so well on this region? And I think today has just been an answer to that question. They haven't had the best season overall so far. Faulty Splits has been a bit of a mess, if I'm honest, with all those players landing there, especially in the more open formats, the Elite Cups and stuff like that. They have struggled a little bit, but what they've shown today is they will turn up when it matters most. And oh boy, are they showing it.
And I feel like that's a great point too, because they're making a claim on Faulty, right? If I know how well they're performing and I want to land there, I might change my mind, man. I don't want to fight these guys, not me.
No, I don't want to fight them.
I don't either. I might definitely rethink where I'm landing if I'm the rest of the duos.
Yeah, especially for Quanti and Scare right there. They had to fight him, and, you know, they got to be happy with that. The second place finished right there. But for Quanti and Scare, they had a really, really good endgame as well. They held height for the entire endgame. It was first moving zone. They built up, they reinforced it really, really well. And for all the players on low ground, they were using, of course, that mythic pistol just to spray down and do so much damage and keep that pressure applied. We've seen that a lot today as well, right?
Yes. Honestly, the twin mag has been something you see like being picked up during endgames just so that they can spray through and get those quick pump shots and eliminations for, just extra points to get on the board and hopefully getting in a top 10 placement spot.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't forget Peterbot and Booga. I mean, just looking absolutely insane, showing up in those moments when they need to. And I feel like these guys have also been put in similar situations, right? Like week 1 of Major 1 has been the story of, I'm a solo player, now watch me work.
Yeah, it's been a hot and cold day for them, I feel like, today, though.
Yeah.
It's been one of those days where things have gone well. They have 2 victory royales under their belt after today. But was it consistent? No. They've gone about it in a different way. They have that pop-off potential. Both of them individually are so good at clutching up, especially Peterbot. But we saw it with Booga here as well, picking up eliminations and doing a great job at it. That just shows when you put 2 powerhouses together, that's what can happen, right?
Yeah, and again, Peterbot and Booga had 1,000 over Storm Surge, but like the second zone. Like, it's kind of crazy. It put him in a really comfortable position because going into zone like that, you're just like kind of chilling,
Yeah.
You're like, I'm so high above Storm Surge. Like, I ain't really got to do much. I already put the work in. So they're looking really clean there. But again, I'm going to point out, Hide and Seek did come in a 2v1 and destroy both.
Don't remind them of that.
Oh, sorry.
remind
No,
them.
I still did great.
Oh, no, don't remind them. We actually have something really special here. We have an interview with none other than Kanata, one of the duo members here, coming in huge. Kanata, what's going on, my man? How are you feeling?
What's up? What's good? I'm feeling hype right now. I'm feeling good. Like, I was in that last game. Like, I did choke that 1v1 at the end. But listen, I was literally I was trolling really hard. But, like, I was having a lot of fun. Like, I knew I won the tournament. Like before last zone, and I was just adrenaline through the body. Like, it was just feeling good.
Bro, I just got to ask, like, what are you guys doing right now? You guys have come out here and just made, like, one of the biggest statements, especially when we're thinking about things like a global championship. Now you got everyone looking at you coming into week 2. Like, are you guys just practicing every day? Like, why are you looking so good?
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not practicing every day. The funny thing is, I VOD reviewed mid-tournament. Like,
whoa.
Like, there was like 3-4 North zones today, and like the first 2 zones, like, we were like dying to surge like the second or third game, and then I was like, what am I doing right now? Like, how? When I have really good loot, right? Like, I'm landing one of the best spots. And then I was just like, all right, I'm going into replay. I go to replay, I find out some surge spots, pulls north again, and I'm confident that I'm not gonna just spot review, right? And then I survive the next 2 games, north zones, get really good, really good placements in those games. And it was just good. It was just perfect in those games. I don't know.
That's so sick, man. You look incredible. Just to be able to on-the-spot VOD review, that is absolutely amazing.
Yep, on the spot.
What are some of the thoughts going through your head during those solo end games when it's all up to you because, your duo did get eliminated? What are just the thoughts?
Well, let's say, like, it kind of goes both ways when you're thinking like this, though. But when you're a solo, like, it always could be better. Because when you're playing solo in this meta with the hammer, like, you could solo clutch so much easier. And like, when I'm playing solo, like, I don't know, I just have this like sense of more confidence. And like the 5th game, Ager's solo clutched really hard. Like I had dead 0 kill, and he was just carrying me, right? I was just getting carried. I was sitting there like, wow, like I'm getting carried, and like it's just that feeling of just literally thanking God that you're playing with this teammate. You know what I'm saying?
It
probably goes both ways.
It does.
Like at the end right there, I did choke, but like if that was actually like a grand finals, I'm guaranteed not choking.
Yeah, nah. I mean, you still ended up on top.
But like, listen, like he's probably sitting there thinking, God, he's playing with me too. I hope that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, well,
that's my thoughts.
You guys picked up 13 eliminations in that last game, which is actually the record for the day, the most of the day.
Oh, really?
So yeah, you guys did great. But I just wanted to ask, of course, you talk about solo clutch, you talk about playing with Ages. What's it like to play with someone that you can have that confidence in? When you go down earlier on, what's it like to just have that utter confidence in Ages to clutch up? Because we saw it again today, and we've seen it in the past.
It's the best. Like, I've been playing with Ages for more than a year. And like, I just know what he's capable of. I know what he's gonna do. I know what I don't need to like worry about like, because I know he's gonna eliminate the enemy, right? Because I know that he's my duo partner. That's the reason why I play with him. And it's just like, you don't have like any worry or paranoia behind anything. Like you're just playing straight on and just knowing that you're gonna eliminate anybody.
He won the game.
So,
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, baby.
That's amazing. Kanata, anything you want to say to the fans here? Because I'm telling you, if for some reason people didn't know your name, which they absolutely should, they know your name for sure now.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you guys for watching. I guess I don't know, but I'm happy. I'm competing. I'm ready for grand finals. I'm hoping I make it to Copenhagen. I hope this is gonna be a good year for me.
Yeah, bro.
It's looking that way.
It's looking that way.
And everybody remembers to do the best thing ever is to do the one big thing. So the Snap King, best in my freaking country, baby.